This feudal lord is highly scientific. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 276, Building a City and Roads. Faith strategy. Not suitable? The sky god was a little confused. This seems to describe the relationship between mortals. I mean, we can't communicate. Lin Ke shook his head. The feedback of professionals is different from that of traditional magicians. In ancient times, the feedback of senior magicians came from the understanding of the laws. But now, the feedback of scholars comes from cognition, from experiments and exploration. Communication. But maybe there will be a chance in the future. Lin Ke was not going to talk about this topic. After all, Mr. Oth's resurrection still requires a dominant body. Isn't this the sky god in front of him? You can contact other forces, but in the end you will find that they are not as friendly as I am. Lin Ke smiled. If there is nothing else, let's do this today. The sky god looked at Lin Ke deeply, then dispelled the darkness, turned around and disappeared into the woods. The woods were once again filled with the light of the setting sun. Lin Ke did not leave, but stood still and spoke after a while. What? Is there anything else? The woods were quiet, without any echo. Only Lin Ke was talking. Come out. Okay, I've said enough. Stop peeping at me. Otherwise, I'll be angry. Well, I'm leaving. After saying the last sentence, Lin Ke left. Coming to Xiao Xingyan and Melbourne, Lin Ke climbed onto Xiao Xingyan's back and looked at Melbourne. How is it? Have you recovered? At this time, Nasan also discovered that Lin Ke's image reappeared. Recovered. Melbourne didn't know anything and thought Lin Ke was going to the toilet. Most of the strong people no longer have this need, and impurities are discharged through the pores, but some people still have it. Let's go. Lin Ke smiled. He brought Melbourne out to cover up, because he knew that the god of the sky would definitely try to contact them, whether in a kind or malicious way. Sure enough, he guessed right. Garros also saw his intention, but did not stop him. After all, Lin Ke had the wand of annihilation given by his ancestors. Until now, Garros thought that their Azan family had an ancestor named Crow Swain. This meeting with the god of the sky was also of great significance to Lin Ke. This meant that he had passed the approval of the local snake of Phaser. When the strong dragon could not suppress the local snake, it was not advisable to fight blindly. This is a plane. If you are trapped in the vast ocean of the entire plane, what is the point of dealing with a few hundred gods? There may be more to deal with. Unless you have overwhelming power, such as a large plane, you generally need to be equipped with a legend of level 25 or above. A group of star level can secede from one side, but it is impossible to suppress a plane. Lin Ke even suspected that many Nasan planes control a plane by force. Hatred is something that people will forget after 1 or 2 generations, and the Nasan people suppress other planes just through time. And this time, Lin Ke at least let the god of the sky be the guide. So, start the capital plan, or the entertainment plan, or start together. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes and began to think. Melbourne and Xiao Xingyan next to him were still struggling to explore the terrain here. Not long after, Melbourne stopped at a forest. A burst of dust swelled up in his body, and a faint earthy yellow light shone in his eyes. Count Lin Ke, this place is very suitable. Melbourne lowered his head, staring at the ground under his feet, and the dust around him soaked into the ground, exploring the geology. Here, Lin Ke asked Xiao Xingyan to stop and looked around. It was very flat here, and a small forest could be raised to the ground. It was not far from the small city next to it. Then let's go here. Lin Ke nodded and said to Xiao Xingyan, spread your breath here, and we will start building the city tomorrow. He asked Melbourne again, if we want to build a city overnight, how many people will we need to help? After thinking for a while, Lin Ke said again, I mean, as many people as that city. He pointed to the city not far away. Should we capture all of them as slaves? Melbourne was stunned. He didn't have a saintly heart, but he thought it would be a bit troublesome to capture them. Not slaves, but believers. Lin Ke smiled. I have a way. It's not a capital strategy. It's not a cultural strategy. Let's try the faith strategy first. You remember, to build a road, you should have read the People's Monthly Report, right? Lin Ke looked at the distant city and asked Melbourne. I have read it. Count Lin Ke, you want to build a road here? Melbourne was a little puzzled. What is the purpose of building a road? Lin Ke was too lazy to answer. What he is going to experiment with now is to subvert the belief in gods. If he does it, it's hard to say for the old gods, but most people probably won't continue to believe in gods. This plan needs to be considered in the long run. Let's go. The live broadcast should be closed soon. We still have things to do when we go back. At night, the live broadcast of Prince Xingqian has been closed. Nasong fell into a calm. However, many people have planned to continue chasing dramas the next day. Of course, many people refers to the nobles, and farmers and civilians don't have that much time. Fortunately, although the time flow speed of the two planes is different, the difference is not too big. After the live broadcast was closed, a person slipped out of the camp where Lin Ke was. This person held a guitar and looked melancholy and indifferent. Bard Buck. Lin Ke changed into this appearance and then rode on Little Lucky, rushing towards the city. Little Lucky didn't scream, nor did it emit flames, but it was very fast. He wanted to contact the intelligent life of this plane so as to formulate policies. He observed that the main races of Phaser should be the gods of the sky, and most gods were the same. Humanoid, and their hair seemed to be made of flesh, only one strand, hanging long behind their heads, and their other facial features looked almost the same. It seemed that the thing could enhance some of their abilities, such as magic sensing. Lin Ke rushed with Little Lucky, and then landed outside the city. The architecture of this city is very distinctive, all built with yellow mud, supported by a thick pillar at the bottom, and a square room on top. It looks like a large lollipop. These Phaser people climbed up from the pillar, and lived in the room above. It can be seen that these Phaser people have strong climbing ability, and seem to yearn for the sky and high places. Lin Ke came to the door, and was enjoying the beautiful scenery, when he heard someone shouting in front of him, "Hey, that kid. Why don't you run away?" Chapter 277 Riding the Red Sack. Let's go. Lin Ke walked in, and saw a rather old face. The old face's eyes were blurry, and he couldn't see Lin Ke clearly. Seeing this, Lin Ke immediately used the gecko bracelet to conjure a long hair behind his head. He forgot that the only difference between the Nasong people and the face people was the long hair on their heads. After becoming a face completely, Lin Ke went up to talk to him. He didn't know the principle of magic like language comprehension, but he basically had to master it. "Old man, what are you running for?" Lin Ke went up to ask, pretending to know nothing. "Young man, you are an adventurer, right? A group of demons came from the west. You saw it. Even the great gods may not be able to compete with them. You'd better run." The old man shook his head and pointed to the street behind him. "Almost everyone is ready to run now. Take the red sack bad to the blue light sky city in the east of the city. You should run too," the old man said, with his hands behind his back, walked to the side and stopped talking. He continued to stand in a place similar to the city gate, as if to remind the adventurers who came here one by one. "He looks like a good person. Okay, thank you, old man." Lin Ke immediately had a plan in his mind, waved to the old man and walked forward. The old man was old and dim, but kind-hearted, and didn't care about Lin Ke at this time. Lin Ke tried to reduce his presence, learned the actions of the surrounding Phaser people, and soon blended in. Most of the people on the street looked terrified, and seemed to be terrified by the invasion of Nasong. However, Lin Ke followed the flow of people and gradually saw the huge lollipop building. After feeling it, Lin Ke looked over, and squinted his eyes. That was the breath of divine power. Is this a temple? In Nasong, temples are not everywhere, like in Aznan. It is really difficult for people in Nasong to have faith in gods. After all, many people know that legends are stronger. Most gods spread faith in secondary planes. Even like the moon goddess, it is estimated that there are many secondary planes where she specifically raises believers, and those planes have completely lost their potential for growth. As for Phaser, if Nasong had not come, it might have continued to grow. Thinking of this, Lin Ke continued to walk eastward. There was nothing to see in the temple. He also saw the Fasa people going up from the pillars one by one. It was estimated that there were many people in the temple. Whenever a disaster came, it would be a good opportunity for the gods to harvest faith and accept believers. As Lin Ke moved forward, more and more people with panicked faces appeared. Most of them were exhausted and had families with them. Fleeing. They are fleeing. Ordinary people at the bottom are often ignorant and easy to incite. They can only receive a certain amount of information, which is not as much as the upper ones. They only know that so many gods sacrificed themselves before, but in the end they seem to be unable to do anything about the aliens not far from their city. They can only run. The fear of the unknown, coupled with the forces other than the Gura people, the appearance of those star level lying on the other people's kingdom of God and eating, really scared the intelligent life of Fasa. Lin Ke merged into the crowd and rushed eastward. In the east, one by one Fasa people sat on a big bird called the red sack bird. This big bird is red all over and huge in size, but it looks gentle. Lin Ke originally thought that this red sack bird was for people to ride. But he saw one after another phase of people first threw the hair on the back of their heads to the feather quills of the red sack bird, connected them, and then held the quills without moving. The phaser people don't sit with their buttocks, but hold them. But thinking of the architecture of the phaser people, Lin Ke also expressed his understanding. The phaser people climbed the pillars to create a strong arm strength, which is very useful for climbing or hugging, and connecting the hair on the back of the head to the red sack bird. Why? Is it really an avatar? Lin Ke was a little confused, so he lined up and went forward. The last 3 red sack birds. The last 3. The price of the magic energy has increased to 500. A phaser stood on the head of the red sack bird and shouted loudly. It seems that he should be the owner of these 3 red sack birds. This person has a ruddy face, and he doesn't look panicked at all. Instead, he is very happy. Alien capitalist. Lin Ke silently labeled this person. But Lin Ke also understood the currency here. Magical energy. Magical energy. The talents of the phaser people are surprisingly excellent. Every phaser can absorb the element in the air through the hair on the back of his head and store them. In Lin Ke's perception, the hair is connected to the feather tube of the red sack bird, and then the magic energy is transmitted to it, which is paying. Although Lin Ke does not have magic energy, his scholar power should be something similar. However, at this time, the scene has already started to sell. There are only 3 red sack birds, each accommodating hundreds of people, but there are more than tens of thousands of phaser people. I will offer 600 magic energy. 600 magic energy, give it to me. 3000 magic energy. I'm not short of money. I'm a magician who wants to be my enemy. The ocean is boundless, and my lord is the god of the sea. One by one, the phaser people spoke up and frantically scrambled for the last ride to get on the car. Lin Ke discovered that magicians and temple clergy must obtain permission from the bird owner to get on the bird. The second is the warriors similar to knights and some devout believers, and finally the rich. Lin Ke also joined the competition. I'm a magician. To some extent, scholars are to magicians what sharpshooters are to archers. Hearing that Lin Ke is a magician, some people around him immediately cast respectful glances. The owner of the red sack bird immediately looked over and smiled. Mr. Magician, come here. 500 magic powers. Lin Ke nodded, came to the bottom of the red sack bird, and waited to choose a position. After all the positions were auctioned, they boarded the bird. Sky above, sir. I wonder what kind of magician you are? At this time, someone who looked like a staff member came over and asked Lin Ke, if it's convenient, you can show it. We can arrange magicians of the same type as neighbors, and you can also communicate. The way of greeting for the phaser people seems to be shaking the hair behind their heads left and right. It is said that the hair is not suitable, so Lin Ke decided to call it Feiji. The staff member shook his Feiji to the left 3 times, and then looked at Lin Ke with a smile. Lin Ke also learned this way, controlling the palace guard bracelet, to shake his Feiji 3 times, raised his right hand, and a pressure blade appeared in his hand. Dear Wind Magician, the staff member was about to speak, when his expression changed. The reason was that he saw Lin Ke waved his magic weapon to the left 3 times. To the left, 3 times? Exclamation mark. The staff member's expression changed, and Lin Ke thought to himself, oh no. Is this a bad etiquette? Exclamation mark. Chapter 278, Hidden Enemies of the Gods of Father? Sir, the staff member panicked. You shouldn't. It's okay. This is what you deserve. Lin Ke's eyes suddenly burst into a grey light. Level 5 skill, Banshee Charm. Lin Ke is only level 10, and the highest skill or magic he can use is level 5. This Banshee Charm comes from the book Banshee Skills given to him by Lin Ke, which is a variant of the Banshee's magic soul control. More skills are better. Lin Ke learned a lot of similar skills and magic, just to deal with this situation. Take me there. Is there a wind magician? Lin Ke asked softly. Fortunately, the fluctuation of skills is much smaller than that of magic, and few people noticed it. It was around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. Lin Ke followed the staff to the bottom of the left wing of the red sack bird, with thick feather tubes on top of his head. At this time, someone was holding the feather tube and closing his eyes to rest, and Feiji was also connected to the red sack bird. Seeing Lin Ke coming over, the middle-aged phaser opened his eyes and glanced at Lin Ke. Seeing that Lin Ke was so young, he closed his eyes again. Lin Ke didn't care and whispered to the staff next to him, "You will forget about my abnormality." After saying that, Lin Ke jumped up and also got on the feather tube. He tried to extend his magic medium, thinking that he would fail. After all, the people in Avatar also transfer consciousness. But when Lin Ke took it, he felt a weak consciousness. So he poured the power of Scholar into it and poured about the amount of a second level magic, and the absorption stopped. However, the weak consciousness did not push it out, but revealed the intention of letting him connect to it. Lin Ke thought about it and tried to extend his consciousness. That kid saluted a civilian. He looks like a wild mage. Humph, it's his low-level wild mage who lowers a level. I guess it's his first time to ride a red sack bird. Many wild mages can only walk. I don't know if he has connected to a red sack bird. Shh, stop talking. He seems to be here. Several voices entered Lin Ke's consciousness. It was a very strange feeling, like listening to people talking outside the door of the room. Although I can't see their appearance, I can tell the difference between each person and participate in the conversation. However, those people seem to be a little malicious. Wild magician? Hello, everyone. Lin Ke tried to speak, but felt that his voice seemed a little loud. What a noisy person. This is the honorable magician. Such a powerful consciousness. At the same time, the originally docile red sack bird let out a painful whine, spread its wings, and flapped them vigorously, as if it was very uncomfortable. My lord, please stop. At this time, the voice of the owner of the red sack bird came in, a little panicked. Respected magician, you are too powerful. Please collect your consciousness. Lin Ke understood the situation a little, so he divided his consciousness again, and only a small wisp of it leaked through. The red sack bird stopped wailing. It's amazing. Lin Ke couldn't help but admire it in his heart. This red sack bird is like a local area network, and they are like users. Through the red sack bird, they can actually realize local area network chat. This makes Lin Ke even more determined to win the plane of phaser. You know, Nasan can't even realize chat software now. Honorable Wild Magician, may I ask which school you belong to? I come from the fire of the forest, and I'm a third level magician named Enter. At this time, a somewhat detached consciousness knocked on Lin Ke's door. Lin Ke thought about it and connected it. Hello, I'm a wild mage. A wild mage. His voice was full of self-mockery. He noticed that a magician seemed to look down on the wild mage just now, and that was just right. Wild, without a master, self-taught, wild mage. How is it possible? Ander exclaimed, his voice full of disbelief. Honorable sir, you seem to be as powerful as my teacher, and he is already an 8th level great mage. 8th level, great mage. Haha, 8th level? You know our level, right? Lin Ke laughed at himself, as if venting his frustration. I know. This is known to all apprentices. Level 5 is a watershed. Level 6 is a great magician. Level 7 is a mage. Level 8 is a great mage. And level 9 and 10 are already legends of the famous town continent. As he said this, and guessed to himself, could it be that Mr. Buck has a very complicated past? But Mr. Buck's voice sounds as young as mine. Great mage. Great mage. Lin Ke's voice was filled with 5 parts of melancholy, 3 parts of resentment, and 2 parts of helplessness. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. What can I do for you? That is. Ander originally just wanted to ask for advice and communicate, but when he heard that Lin Ke was a wild mage, he was immediately moved and said, "Mr. Buck, are you determined not to join any school? I mean, even if that school gives you a lot of magic power, and you can't use up the magic power, will you not add it?" "Well, I don't want to join at the moment." Lin Ke just wanted to find out some information for the time being, so as to implement the plan. In this case, he still had to avoid trouble. That's such a pity. Does Mr. Buck want to join the temple in the future? Alas, it's really good to be a favored one of the gods, but I thought Mr. Buck was different from that group of people. Ander's voice was a little low, and Lin Ke felt that he was about to go offline. However, Lin Ke suddenly realized the key point. So he called Ander and asked calmly, "Why do you think I'm different from that group of people?" Feeling. Ander said, "Mr. Buck has not joined any school until now. I think you have your reasons, but I think of the choices of many predecessors. Alas, there is no way. After becoming a legend, no one can break through. Only by joining the gods can there be a possibility of breaking through. But why do we have to become gods and then gain the favor of the god of the sky to get the power of faith? Why do we, who have studied the secrets of magic energy for a lifetime, need to rely on the power of faith to advance?" Ander's voice became low again as he spoke. "Breakthrough. Is it difficult for magicians and warriors here to break through? What level is a breakthrough? Why is it difficult to break through?" Lin Ke suddenly realized that this plane was not entirely controlled by the gods. The magician seemed to be the hidden enemy of the gods, just lacking an opportunity. "Do you know what level I am?" Lin Ke interrupted the chatterbox and aura, his voice full of loneliness. "I am level 10. Level 10? In terms of magic power, has Mr. Buck reached the legendary limit?" Chapter 279. Create a temple. Spread the teachings. Haha, yes. Lin Ke was holding the feathers of the red sack bird and chatting with Ander. After everyone was gathered, the owner of the red sack bird shouted, and then the red sack bird flapped its wings and took off. In the sky, Lin Ke was holding the warm feathers of the red sack bird and still chatting with Ander with his consciousness. Level 10. Ander was so shocked that he couldn't speak. A level 10 strong man? Question mark? Or a wild mage? This is equivalent to a person with elementary school education picking up rags at the door of a world's #1 listed company, and then picking up rags and becoming the world's captain. This is fucking. It can't be said that there is no connection, but it is outrageous. Ander didn't know what to say, and Lin Ke also judged that it seemed that level 10 was equivalent to the highest level here. It's just that they didn't know that level 10 couldn't even touch the threshold, and level 15 could only slightly touch the law. No wonder, no wonder. Ander muttered to himself, and then he said excitedly, "Buck. Lord Buck, then may I ask, are you going to create a temple yourself?" Create a temple? Lin Ke's mind turned, and he asked, "What do you think?" I see. Lord Buck is already level 10, so he has no intention of joining any god, nor does he want to join a school. Create a temple, but create a temple. Ander was already losing his mind at this time. He was out taking the bus and met Bill Gates. By the way, he added him from people nearby to chat and gossip. Fantasy. It's simply an epic fantasy novel. But Ander also found an opportunity instantly. Temple. The ultimate goal of every school is to become a sect. As long as one person breaks through the 10th level legend and reaches a new world, then this school will become a sect. Although it is really difficult to go from level 10 to level 11, it is even more difficult than the previous 10 levels combined. But it is always a hope, isn't it? Ander, who was thinking out of his mind, subconsciously said to Lin Ke, "Mr. Ander, I wonder how many people are there in your temple." I left the forest after sensing the arrival of those outsiders, and my first stop was here. Lin Ke narrated, "I just broke through level 10 not long ago." At the same time, Lin Ke sighed slightly in his heart. This is the limitation of magicians and warriors. It is difficult to upgrade the level, the talent requirements are too high, and the categories are too rigid. Level 10 has become a strong man who can be famous in Phaser. Nasung's level the 15th of may not be famous in the continent. Only those above level 21 can be known by everyone. It can be said that the professional system is Nasung's biggest reliance. However, Lin Ke did not believe that there were so few strong men in Phaser. It is estimated that many strong men above level 10 are hidden in the major temples. However, the information from the chatterbox and solved the problem for Lin Ke. So Lin Ke said, I also made up my mind to establish the temple recently. His tone was full of bitterness. There is no way ahead. The gods are rampant. I can only walk this road by myself. Yeah. Anders said with an empathetic tone. I have also heard the despair in the teacher's mouth. I don't know if I will encounter it in the future, but it's too early for me. Then Ander changed the subject. By the way, Lord Buck, I wonder if you are willing to accept me. I'll accept our sect? Lin Ke. Well, what I mean is, our Mountain Fire sect currently has an 8th level mage, 5 7th level great magicians, dozens of 6th level magicians, and thousands of 5th level magicians. Ander revealed all his family's details at once, and then said, well, if we have a legendary magician now, then we will definitely be able to become a sect smoothly. Lord Buck has no sect, why not join our school? I wonder how much Mr. Buck has mastered about the fire element and fire magic. Perhaps our magic book of forest fire can provide you with good help. Anders' voice gradually became hot. What do you think, Lord Buck? Or a new and powerful temple is about to rise from the west of the continent. Forest fire. Well, forest fire. Lin Ke's voice was silent for a moment before he said, it seems that this school has appeared in my long memory. Really? Ander was delighted. Level 10 strong men usually live for hundreds of years. Maybe they have had intersections with their school? Lord Buck, there is no time to lose. Let's go to Blow Light Sky City this time to find my teacher. Ander was excited, but he forced himself to calm down. He couldn't let himself disturb this adult. It would be bad if he was unhappy. Besides, if he had the support of this adult in the future, wouldn't he be able to walk sideways in the school? Well, let Master Buck take a rest first, and try to meditate for a while, showing that you are working hard. It would be even better if this master accepted it in the end. Thinking of this, Ander said immediately, then I won't bother you now. Call me if you need me. Okay. Lin Ke laughed in his heart. Can Ander, who is walking alone outside, be assured of his teacher? What if Buck is a member of the hostile forces? What a silly child. However, stupid people have good luck. If Lin Ke's experiment is successful in the future, he will need an agent to manage the world. At that time, Ander, who is silly and obedient, may be an option. Lin Ke ended the conversation with Ander, and no one came to him for a long time. It seemed that, because of his previous identity as a strong man, they were more respectful and afraid of him. Only Ander, the young man, directly knocked on the door. So, Lin Ke simply changed from passive to active, and took the initiative to find out what those people were talking about to see if he could interrupt. So his consciousness came out of the door, and it was very lively outside, with all kinds of people chatting. Those outsiders are so powerful. Yes, but the gods are stronger. Oh, great sky god. Hey, outsiders definitely don't dare to come to Blow Light Sky City. That is the land favored by the sky god. These people are chatting, and anyone can join the chat, but there are some doors, behind which are their respective private chat channels. And consciousness can also distinguish the characteristics of each person's breath. For example, Lin Ke remembered that one of the people who seemed to be chatting outside was the magician lying next to him. Hey, wild mage, you seem to be at a high level? Do you want to join our school? The magician was extremely contemptuous. Seeing Lin Ke looking at him, he said disdainfully, just now I saw and looking for you. The forest fire is too weak. Why don't you come to us? At this time, Ander was also outside. He heard what that person said and immediately shouted, shut up. Lord Buck has joined our forest fire. Oh. The magician's tone became even more disdainful when he heard it. Trash wild mage. Joined a trash school. Huh. Who do you say is trash? Lin Ke wanted to become famous and stand out at this time, so naturally he showed his edge. Oh. The magician seemed very confident in himself and chuckled at this time. You want to fight me? I'm from the Torrent Song School, Alala, Magician, level 7. Chapter 280 New Skills Prediction. Arrival at Blue Light Sky City. Level 7 Magician. There was a cry of surprise from all around. Just like discovering a hidden boss in the questions group, a group of people came out of the door and watched what happened here. Level 7 Magician. That's the upper class of the continent. Such a top level strongman from the upper class actually wants to duel with others. Question mark? The other one seems to be a wild magician. That's right, but judging from the mental power just now, the magic power is not weak either. I just don't know where a mere wild magician gets the courage from. That's right, even if they are both level 7 magicians, how can a wild magician fight a decent school magician? At this time, everyone was talking about it, just feeling that there was a good show to watch. There are always lawless and arrogant kids who will jump out and challenge those schools and temples with a long heritage as wild mages, and finally prove that the wild magicians are weak. Without inheritance, they will eventually be no match for the complete inheritance. You want to duel with me? Lin Ke was a little amused. How to duel? Since you want to build a temple and become famous, then it's fine. After all, the god you believe in wouldn't dare to accept a duel from someone else, right? Let's duel when we get to Blue Sky City. The 7th level Major Lala smiled coldly and was calculating in his heart. What's the point of bullying a wild mage? But this wild mage is at the same level as him. After all, he just felt that the wild mage's mental power is only higher than his. But what's the use? He hasn't even ridden a red sack bird, so how can he know much magic? It's probably just a waste wild mage who got the inheritance by chance and hid in some deep mountains and forests to reach the 7th level, duel, and then win. Now that Phaser is in turmoil, it's just right for him to capture some believers and join his school. The master of his school is about to break through. Anda was shocked at the sight. You want to duel with him? He said to Alala. HMPH, I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. Alala thought Anda was worried about Lin Ke and threatened. My master is about to break through. If you know what's good for you now, I can still let you go. Otherwise, well. Anda's tone suddenly became a lot weird. A 7th level magician wants to challenge a 10th level legendary magician. No matter how much magic you can use, you may not be able to catch a small fireball from him, right? Is this person sick? But Anda was too lazy to think about these things, but thought of Lin Ke. So he knocked on the door again and went in, and talked to Lin Ke about Blue Light Sky City, and talked about his own school and the school that Alala belonged to. In Phaser, the difference between a school and a sect is like the difference between a commoner and a prince. The etiquette is strict. If you are a commoner and say that you are a prince, then dying tragically in the street is the least of your worries. Just like a person from a school, if he says that the place he is in is a sect, then his school will be the first to not let him go. In the casual chat with Anda, Lin Ke talked a lot, but he felt that the most rewarding thing was a specialty of the Phaser plane. He had only seen it in the Phaser plane, that is, neural network, local area network. Many animals, plants, and even non-living things in Phaser may have some kind of connection port. Just like the Phaser people, they can use the medium to connect these connections and then achieve the purpose of chatting. For the Phaser people, this method of using the medium to connect with everything is one of the means of perceiving everything, just like the methods used by the Nasan people to touch, smell, taste, etc. This made Lin Ke see the possibility of local area network and the internet. You know, the Phaser people just have one more medium. Although Lin Ke does not have a medium, his consciousness can still enter the red sack bad unimpeded. No wonder it is said that every large plane in the star world of the heavens may have unimaginable resources and power. Lin Ke now feels more deeply about this sentence. This is fucking. Just do a noble review and find the possibility of realizing a local area network. Too cool, right? Even if you can't make a computer and a mobile phone, at least make a chat software. Information exchange is always one of the most important needs of intelligent creatures. While thinking about the feasibility of the Nasan internet, Lin Ke was talking to Anda. A few hours later, when it was almost dawn, they arrived at the Blue Light Sky City. Seeing this city for the first time, Lin Ke thought it was still very strange. This Blue Light Sky City was built on a hill. Yellow or blue lollipops stood in the mountains. The streets were full of phasers, which looked very prosperous. On the red sack bird, Lin Ke looked down with the feather tube in his arms, which was quite exciting. How is it? This is the largest city nearby. It is said that the blue light sky city has existed hundreds of years ago, right? Anda was excited and said, after Master Buck teaches that Alala a lesson, I will take you to see my teacher. Let's discuss the name of the sect. While chatting with Anda in his mind, Lin Ke called out to Xiaoxingan again. Xiaoxingan, are you following behind? Lin Ke asked. Yes, big brother, this bird looks big and flies very slowly. Xiaoxingan replied. Okay, I'll come out later and go back. Lin Ke thought about the plan and asked, has Melbourne gone back? Yes. Okay. Lin Ke and Xiaoxingan have a contract and can communicate with each other. He has to think of a way to make a body over there to hide his identity. He doesn't want the people in Nassen to know that he has a transformation item like the Palace Guardian bracelet. The key is that after the transformation, non-dominants can't see it. Fortunately, Prince Xingqian's live broadcast is just a rough outline and will not lock onto a person. Like Lin Ke, when he was with the nobles of Gila, he was in the same screen. Make a body to hide his identity, and then he will sneak in and develop as the wild mage Buck. It seems that I have to break through. Lin Ke thought about it and decided to break through. He can break through at any time. His feedback has already stacked him to level 17 or 18. Before this, it was just the accumulation of magic power. If it weren't for the compression and refinement of magic power, he would have broken through long ago. But since he needs new skills, he should break through shallowly. To create a body, the best skills are of course optical ones. Optical imaging, right? Lin Ke thought to himself, and the red sack bird also landed. As soon as it landed, Lin Ke saw a person on a feather tube not far away suddenly jump down, and then shook the magic medium to sense and search around. Where are the people? Come and duel with me. Wild mage. The man looked like he was in a bad mood. He couldn't help but jump out before he landed smoothly. His clothes looked bright red, so he was probably a fire magician. Lin Ke smiled and jumped down. After landing, he looked at the man and said, Alala, duel here? My sleep schedule has been too irregular recently. I'm sleeping. Chapter 281 Duel. Situation change. Insult. Duel, regardless of location, as long as no innocent people are hurt. But many people often cannot avoid hurting innocent people. Oh. Alala felt that the wild wizard in front of him was insulting him. Only the absolutely strong can avoid hurting others, which requires extremely exquisite control. At this time, 4 or 5 red sack birds landed here, and there were 7 or 8 green sack birds, white sack birds and the like coming from various places. With so many people, if they hurt others, they would not be happy. What's more, those who can ride sack birds are either rich or noble. So Alala felt that Lin Ke was insulting him. Do you want to die? A dangerous light flashed in Alala's eyes. Now in Phaser, there is no rule that you can't kill people in the street. Even Phaser has 50 or 60 forces, countries, regions, schools, sects, temples. It's incomparable chaos. As for while Lin Ke wanted to duel in the street, be famous. The more people there are, the faster Lin Ke will become famous. Even at this moment of Nassen's invasion, fear, despair, and chaos are most likely to breed faith. It is the nature of many creatures to worship the strong, and Phaser is no exception. I don't want to die. I want your school to be with me. Lin Ke smiled. At this time, many people got off the red sack bird and immediately knew that Lin Ke and Alala were the 2 people who had quarreled on the land with the magic medium before, so they gathered around with great interest. Some people also left in a hurry, either because they didn't want to watch the excitement, or because they had urgent matters. However, people who got off other sack birds also gathered around with interest. More and more people gathered, and the owners of several sack birds immediately shouted at the sack birds to get out of the way, and everyone subconsciously formed a circle. That Alala's patience with Lin Ke finally reached its limit, so he raised his palm, a ball of fire ignited, and the end of the magic medium also lit up. Use the magic medium to absorb element to achieve the effect of rapid recovery. This is a large-scale magic. At the same time, Alala's magic medium flashed again, and layers of magic shields appeared in front. The effect of the magic medium appeared in front of Lin Ke for the first time. This magic medium is quite interesting. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes and sensed it, but did not make a move, but stood quietly beside him. He was observing the way Fasa used magic. To release magic, he did not need the ancient spell chanting system, but he still needed to provoke the magic element. He could not reach the level of directly constructing magic in the ancient times of Nasang, let alone constructing skills and professional systems. Stupid wild mage, waiting for me to complete the large-scale magic is simply the most wrong decision you have ever made in your life. Alala laughed wildly, and the flames in his hands grew wildly, turning into a flaming bird that soared into the sky, and he controlled it to fly in the sky. 7th level magic, flaming bird. 7th level magic? Lin Ke shook his head. Converted to it, it is just Azan's 3rd level magic and 3rd level skills. If you look at the power, it is just the appearance of 2nd level magic. Sure enough, talent is important. Nasang people are born elephants, and Fasa people are born oxen and horses. Not to mention, that some Nasang people are ancient terrifying mammoths, and some Fasa people are just congenitally thin cattle and horses. This is an innate talent. Oh my god. 7th level magic. This is the secret of each school. This person is actually from the school. The other one, a wild mage, right? Too scary. This flame, he must be fire. Hey, this emblem is from the Song of the Torrent school? The people around exclaimed, and Alala, who controlled the flaming bird, showed a smug smile on his face, and said to Lin Ke contemptuously, use protective magic quickly, I don't want to kill you as kind as you are. Everyone on the field couldn't help, but feel a little nervous. Among them, an elderly clergyman from the sect looked at Lin Ke with turbid eyes. His expression was a little solemn. Only Anda was not nervous at all. The wild mage might be weak and stupid, but the 10th level wild mage must be smart and powerful. Weak. At this time, Lin Ke was thinking about what catchphrase to use. Lin Ke's catchphrase is smash the darkness with thunder. The catchphrase of the Farseer Buck. Buck is mainly wind based, supplemented by fire, that is, mainly air pressure skills, supplemented by overheating skills. Suddenly, Link had an idea in his mind. Weak? Alula's eyes burst with murderous intent. You said the Alula of the Riptide Song School is weak? As his words became stronger, the firebird in the sky also grew several circles larger, and became more intense. The scorching breath rushed in, causing everyone to exclaim. The power and mystery of the magician made these Farseers envious and yearning. After all, not everyone in Fars can become a magician. Ocean blessing. At this time, the old clergyman gently paused the unknown staff in his hand, and a layer of azure protective shield blocked the onlookers. People from the ocean temple. So, feeling the magic fluctuations in the breath of divine power, some magicians also came from all directions. This is the magic fluctuation of a 7th level magician. For 99% of magicians, it is lucky to be able to break through to the 2nd level magician. For 99.99% of magic apprentices, breaking through the bottleneck of magicians is like a natural chasm that blocks them. For 99.9999% of people, becoming a magician, no, becoming a magic apprentice means becoming an upper class. At this time, there are 7th level magicians casting magic, and there are also temple personnel casting divine arts! Exclamation mark. Although Blue Light Sky City is the largest city in the northwest, there are not so many high-level magicians. Those excited low-level magicians immediately gathered here, gathering in the direction of the flying firebird. At this time, Alala, who was reluctant to attack, looked at the increasing number of people around him, and was silently calculating in his heart. He could feel that the wild mage opposite had some kind of reliance. There is no simple high-level magician who can reach level 7, even a wild mage. But he thought that this wild mage might have just come out of seclusion and thought he was invincible, but in fact he had never used a high-level means of transportation like the red sack bird. After all, wild mages are very poor and lack of magic power. Every bit of magic power will be used to improve themselves, and they are reluctant to use it on transportation, and would rather walk by themselves. Those who do not want to follow the school and sect can get magic power from their own forces. He thought that, as long as he showed the momentum of large-scale magic, he could force the people in front of him to surrender. However, he did not expect that he was not afraid of this. Almost. Looking around, Alala's other goal in mind, the purpose of promoting the Riptide Song School should be achieved. Yes, another purpose is publicity. As a senior magician in charge of this area, he needs to recruit many people to maintain operation. It just so happens that this invasion of foreign visitors may be a good time to recruit disciples. That's why he rushed back from the northwest, just to recruit a wave in Blue Light Sky City. The more people watching the excitement around, the easier it will be to achieve his goal. Wild Mage Buck, I hope you can join my school. I can guarantee that you will get more powerful power. There are countless magic books in our Riptide Song School. At this time, the contempt on Lola's face was retracted, and she said with a compassionate tone, the powerful Lady Yang is about to break through to level 10. Our school will eventually become a new sect. This sentence once again attracted exclamations. Level 10. Sect. The sky is above. It's so terrifying. Oh, if only we ordinary people could join. Sect. Is there going to be a new sect in Blue Light Sky City? The crowd of spectators around felt shocked. Every time a new sect is born, it will include various power changes and resource allocations, and behind it is killing and blood. But this is also a new opportunity. So, many people were tempted. There were several magicians and magic apprentices around who seemed to be very tempted. The effect is good. Alala glanced around and saw those low-level magicians and magic apprentices and sneered in his heart. Recruit? Of course, we need to recruit people, and we need to recruit people on a large scale. However, this is not to recruit people to share resources, but to be cannon fodder. When Ms. Yang is promoted to the 10th level legend, there will certainly be countless sects secretly taking action to prevent the emergence of new sects. At that time, a large number of cannon fodder will be needed to block the way. If you survive this level, it will be good for the sect to accept the elites left after the elimination. If you can't survive, then you will perish with the sect. Everyone understands the truth, but they are still willing to do this. The reason is that the people of the sect can obtain more and more magic power than the schools, and they may also be favored by a certain god and merged into the temple. The strongest can also become a servant god. Opportunities and risks coexist. So, Alala controlled the firebird to fly in the sky and kept talking. While promoting the power and kindness of Ms. Yang, he also talked about the rich classics of the Song of the Torrent and its abundant magic power. The attention of the onlookers was absorbed by Alala, and Lin Ke seemed to become a transparent person, just a foil. A mere wild mage. Does he have a school or not? Even if he is a high-level mage, so what? He looked down on him. Only Anda was secretly anxious at the side and wanted to run out to speak to Lin Ke. However, at this moment, Lin Ke spoke himself. Have you said enough nonsense? Lin Ke asked softly. Although the voice was soft, it passed through everyone's ears like a breeze. Have you said enough nonsense? Nonsense? Exclamation mark. The scene was silent for a second, and then there was an uproar. How dare this wild mage? Yes, that's a high-level magician. My lord, didn't that wild mage hear it? Ms. Yang is almost a legend. Hey, why does this wild mage feel like an ordinary person? The onlookers exclaimed one by one, and their eyes and focus returned to Lin Ke. What did you say? Alala asked with a frown, and his left hand subconsciously clenched, and the law also raised. He felt something was wrong. A high-level magician, even a wild magician, shouldn't be a fool. It's impossible that the wild magician in front of him is one of those foreign visitors, right? If that's the case, the entire Blue Light Sky City will be gone, and what will he do? So, this wild magician. No, has he joined that school? Alala glanced at Anda in the crowd not far away, and was puzzled. But thinking of Ms. Yang who was about to break through behind him, he became more courageous. Are you insulting me? For the sake of the Riptide Song School, Alala had to kill the person in front of him at this time. He spoke with a compassionate tone. It's a pity. I originally thought you could become a canon member of our Riptide Song. What a pity. Alala shook his head, and the flame bird in his hand swelled a little more. It seemed that the longer the time, the more fire element the firebird absorbed, and the greater the power. Before, Alala pretended to be angry, and made the flame bird bigger. It seemed that he also wanted to deceive Lin, that he was just a wild magician and didn't understand. Young man, give up. At this time, the old clergyman suddenly spoke. He leaned on his staff and shook his head. The current firebird has reached the level of 8th level magic. You can't stop it. As he said that, the old clergyman looked at Alala. Let me say hello to Ms. Yang. I'm a believer of the god of the ocean, Lin. The clergyman named Lin spoke. Your Excellency Lin, the 8th level bishop of the northwest of the ocean temple. Alala raised his eyebrows, squinted his eyes and nodded, and Feiji also shook his head. Okay, I will let this wild mage go, but he must also join our school for 10 years, and contribute magic energy to the school for 10 years, before he can leave. Okay, I agreed to it for him. Lin replied softly, his eyes full of compassion. The bishop of the ocean temple. He's actually a bishop. Yeah, he's dressed so simply, I thought he was just a clergyman. Lord Lion is a famous ascetic monk and a fanatic believer of the sea god. So he's really merciful. Who said he wasn't? This wild wizard was going to be killed, but now he's been saved. Compared to his life, it's only been 10 years, and he can join a new sect. Now that you mention it, I feel quite envious of him. The onlookers just ate melons, feeling that they had a feast for their eyes today. Not only did they see the powerful magic flame bird and the 7th level magician, they also saw the famous lion ascetic monk, a powerful 8th level bishop, and they also learned that the powerful wind magician Ms. Yang was about to be promoted. This is simply too cool. However, at this moment, a discordant voice sounded again. I think you got something wrong. Lin Ke spoke slowly with a faint smile on his face. What? Exclamation mark. This person still dares to speak. Is he really a fool? Exclamation mark. There was a hint of impatience in Alala's eyes, and Lin also frowned. An ungrateful wild mage. I really don't mean to insult you, Mr. Alala. Lin Ke continued. Then what else do you want to say? Alala was just about to withdraw his magic, but when he saw Lin Ke's expression, a murderous look flashed in his eyes. I will kill you today. No matter how Lin Ke begged for mercy, or how Bishop Lin tried to stop him, Alala would definitely kill this wild mage today. Lin also sighed, and didn't speak again. This buck is so ungrateful. But the next moment, Lin Ke's words came out again. I don't mean to insult you, Mr. Alala. I mean to insult your entire Torrent Song School. You are all garbage. Chapter 282 I'm the king of fire demons. I want to insult your entire school. As soon as these words came out, everyone's face changed. Insulting an entire school? Exclamation mark. If you only insult Alala, then you are a mortal enemy of Alala. Insulting a school is insulting an entire force. How can a high level magician stop a force? Exclamation mark. Just like in Lin Ke's previous life, how can a president of a large company stop a national force? Of course, unless, humph, you don't know how to live or die. Alala snorted coldly, but didn't say anything more, and pinched his right hand fiercely. Cry. The firebird in the sky rushed down. 7th level magic flame bird. This flame bird has expanded several times at this time, and it is no less powerful than the 8th level magic. The sky is above. That person doesn't even have any protective measures. It's over. He's going to die. It's what he deserves. A cheap wild mage. The people watching around exclaimed in shock, covered their faces, and there were also disdain and ridicule. Only Anda's eyes were filled with expectation. Only Anda knows Lin Ke's true identity. Who? The firebird whistled down, like a red meteorite falling. You dare to call yourself a torrent? Lin Ke opened his arms, and embraced the firebird. Skill, 0 degree. Heat absorption. All heat is just his nutrients, before it exceeds Lin Ke's own limit. This is the law of thermodynamics. This is science. Ha ha ha. Good nutrients. But not tasty enough. Lin Ke laughed and pulled his arms inward. Everyone saw the flaming bird wailing in Lin Ke's arms, and then the flames on its body became smaller and smaller, and finally there was no trace. It was all sucked in by Lin Ke. Everyone looked at this scene and was horrified. Lin Ke grinned, and flames suddenly rose from his body and attached to his body surface. Skill, overheating. I am the king of fire demons, Buckleagliness. A scorching wave of arrows from Lin Ke's body, and the powerful momentum squeezed the surroundings with rolling waves. This. Level 8. Level 9. This is. Level 10. A legendary existence. A legendary magician. Everyone was shocked at first, and then panicked in an instant. They just looked down on a legendary strongman. They actually called him a wild magician. Bug. Lin Ke seemed to have become extremely tyrannical at this time. He took a few steps to Alala. Those magic protections were like paper in front of Lin Ke's overheating. Lin Ke's arm passed through those magic protections that seemed like foam and directly strangled Alala's neck. Alala's eyes widened, and the magic medium behind his head danced wildly, gushing out waves of magic energy. Crack. Blood spurted out. Alala, a level 7 magician who was arrogant just now and thought he was extremely powerful, had his neck broken by Lin Ke. This is not Nassim. Nassim has a rule that professionals cannot kill ordinary people at will. But Fasa does not have it. In Fasa, magicians have a very high status, second only to temples and gods. In other words, in the eyes of Fasa people, magicians will eventually become believers, then become servants of gods, and finally become gods. Or they will create temples and become gods from the beginning. There is no other way to go, and they don't know what it means to have great power attributed to themselves, and what it means to be legendary. Magicians fight against magicians and kill one. Who cares? Kill him, as long as he doesn't kill the believers of gods. Weakling. Lin Ke's body was burning with flames, and Alala's body was burned to ashes in an instant. Then, Lin Ke looked around, and big drops of flames dripped from his body. I want to open up the Flame Demon sect. The location is in Blue Light Sky City. Lin Ke's voice spread far away. If anyone wants to join, you can come and ask me. I'll wait for you outside the city. Flame Demon sect. It's really a level 10 strong man. The people around dared not move. If Lin Ke was unhappy with them, he could slaughter them. As long as he avoided the believers, it would not matter how many ordinary people died. Anda, take me back to your sect to have a look. The flames on Lin Ke's body gradually retracted into his body, and he turned back into the appearance of an ordinary Fasa. Okay, Lord Buck. Anda was so excited that he almost jumped up. Lord Buck is really strong. And he is going to create the Flame Demon sect. This is an opportunity. He must go back and let his Mountain Forest Fire sect join Lord Buck. Lord Buck. Bishop Lion from the Temple of Poseidon opened his mouth wide at this time, not knowing what to say. This man, this wild mage, is actually a level 10 legendary strongman. Let's go. Lin Ke didn't want to say anything more. Although Aang just wanted to save him on the surface, he actually wanted to pull him into the Ocean Temple. The world is bustling for profit, and the world is bustling for profit. Even someone like Anda, who was just thinking about bringing Lin Ke back, would benefit his own school. Lin Ke followed Anda calmly, and the people around him subconsciously made way for him. Lord Buck, what is that magic called? Anda asked Lin Ke excitedly as he walked. He felt that he had become friends with Lin Ke. That magic is called Flame Demon True Body, a level 10 magic Flame Demon True Body. Lin Ke made it up, which was actually just the use of the overheating skill. But when the time comes, he plans to improve Nassim's level 5 magic flame armor and use it to make up for the number. Anyway, Nassim has a lot of magic. Unlike Phaser, magic is the same as Nassim's skills. Flame Demon True Body. And his eyes widened, his mouth full of envy. What level of magic is this? And, Lord Buck, why are you not afraid of the attack of the Flame Bird? People who learn Flame Demon skills. Flame Demon magic can be immune to fire attacks to a certain extent. Lin Ke laughed. The flame armor doesn't have it, but Lin Ke can improve it to have it. Anyway, the reason is the law of thermodynamics. Immune to fire attacks? Anda was shocked. Such a powerful magic. Not only Anda, but also the people near Lin Ke heard it at this time, and they were a little horrified. It's not that there is no such magic, but it seems that this kind of magic can only be immune once. Listening to what the legendary magician in front of him said, his magic has a powerful attack and can also provide defense. Join. Must join. Anda is not a magic apprentice. He naturally knows the meaning of this magic. This means that in the future, the Flame Demon sect will be the nemesis of all fire magic schools and sects. The book Friends Circle has issued titles. Friends with fan value, remember to claim it. 10 titles. First come first served. Chapter 283, taking over the forest fire. The forest fire sect. This is a sect composed of wood magicians and fire magicians. Lin Ke climbed up a large lollipop building with Anda, which was supported by 7 or 8 pillars. There were more than a dozen buildings like this around, all of which belonged to the forest fire sect. There were still people guarding under the pillars, but Anda and the man connected with each other and passed after checking the information. The building they came to was larger than Lin Ke had imagined, and there were many people. There were people communicating and discussing, reading parchment books, and eating. There were also compartments with various categories, such as books and food, and the scenery outside the window was also very good. Anda took Lin Ke straight to the innermost part. You're back, Anda. The leader of the foreign visitors yesterday was really powerful. It's been chaotic outside recently, and Mr. Oak asked you to come back and find him. The people here didn't seem to know that a battle had just taken place outside, and they greeted Anda one by one. The invasion of foreign visitors has now made people panic, but the people here are blindly confident and think that the gods are omnipotent and can protect them. Anda took Lin Ke all the way inside and finally came to a place similar to a meeting room. As soon as they approached, they heard quarrels. We can't betray the gods, but the gods have betrayed us. They only protect their own people, but everything we have is given by the gods, and we can't get away from them. But those foreign visitors are obviously more powerful. They may also be able to. The voice inside seemed to sense the approach of Lin Ke and Anda, and the voice became smaller. Anda glanced at Lin Ke twice, with some embarrassment in his eyes, and then knocked on the door. Teacher, I'm back. Anda? Come in. An old voice sounded from inside. So Anda took Lin Ke and pushed the door in. In front of them were several old men sitting on the floor, with the feiji behind their heads hanging to the ground. They were led by a slightly fat old man with white hair and white beard, and there were 5 people on the left and right sides and opposite. A total of 6 old men. Lin Ke understood that this was what Anda said, his teacher and other people in the school. His teacher, the 8th level great magician, and the other 5 magicians were also powerful magicians of the 7th level. These were the core members of the forest fire. Anda, who is this person? If he is your friend, let him get out. At this time, an old woman sitting next to Anda's teacher spoke. Her voice was shrill and unpleasant. What are you doing? My disciple's friend, why do you want to get out? Before Anda could speak, his teacher glared at the old woman. Why don't you get out? A wild mage. Your disciples make friends with wild mages. The old woman snorted coldly and confronted Anda's teacher. Just now outside the door, the 2 voices were the most fierce. What about wild mages? Wild mages are not human beings. Wild mages have no magic power. Anda's teacher blocked back without hesitation. Teacher, it's not. Anda wanted to speak and explain, but the 2 people didn't give him a chance to speak. HMPH, if you can bring in wild mages, then I'll bring in the people from the Ice Spring School, so that we can all speak freely. The fat on the old woman's face was shaking, and the age spots were like flies crawling. But she did have the aura of a 7th level magician. You're making trouble. You are. I said get out, so you can't come in. Are you the owner of the forest fire? Okay, you want to separate from me now, right? I knew. The 2 of them were arguing about some meaningless words, and Lin Ke suddenly realized that they seemed to be a couple. Exclamation mark. However, unlike what Lin Ke imagined, the relationship between the couple did not seem to be good, and the more they argued, the louder the noise. However, Lin Ke didn't want to waste time anymore, because he had to go back to the camp to pretend to be Lin Ke. At this moment, a ball of fire was launched from the old woman and hit Lin Ke's face directly. Did I let you move? The old woman said sternly. Lin Ke's face darkened, and he directly absorbed the fireball with his skills, and then turned it into a heat wave and expelled it. The heat wave directly overturned everything in the room, including people. Lin Ke glanced at the old woman, and then took a big step back in the direction he came from. Master Buck, Anda shouted, wanting to chase him out, but his teacher and his wife were still lying on the ground. Anda, who is that? Anda's teacher realized at this time that the man just now should be a strong man. Before Anda could speak, the old woman screamed, who cares who he is? Kill him, kill him. That's Buck Laglinus, a level 10 magician who is about to create a sect. Anda rushed to say it this time. He was afraid that, if he didn't say it, his wife would go crazy. Level 10. In the sky, a legend is standing in front of us. And so young. The other people present took a breath of cold air. At this time, Anda helped the teacher up and glanced at the teacher's wife who was not nice to him on weekdays. His teacher's wife sat on the ground blankly at this time, but she did not shout to kill Lin Ke. Anda, are you sure? Anda's teacher was helped up by Anda and stretched out his Feiji. Anda also stretched out his Feiji and connected it with the teacher and then assured, I'm sure. Real. Anda's teacher immediately felt Anda's emotions, so he immediately ordered, quick, go to find Master Buck. Our school is saved. Lin Ke added a few swift winds to himself and soon came to the outside of the city. Following the connection with Zingayan and the soul, he found it. Brother, you are back. Although Zingayan looked pretty good on the outside, his voice actually became like that of a young man. In the woods, Zingayan rubbed Lin Ke intimately. Although he looked like a Feiji person, Zingayan knew that this was Lin Ke's disguise. Lin Ke patted Zingayan and said, let's go back. He changed back to his original appearance and flew into the air. Not long after, the live broadcast from Nasan began. After fermentation, I thought there would be fewer people watching in Nasan, but unexpectedly, there were more. Most of them were just curious about Lin Ke. After all, the time for the nobles to deliberate is not long. What can they do in such a short time? It's just conquest and plunder. But Lin Ke actually said that he came for friendship. So in everyone's mind, they would naturally be curious about what Lin Ke would do. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 284, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. In the morning, many people in the Great Wilderness have to go to work to support themselves around 8 o'clock in the morning. Whether it is to work on the projects of the city hall, or to work for those private companies, or to take the public bus pulled by the bloodthirsty Iron Bull to the outskirts to farm. But there are also many people who have asked for leave, just to come here to see how Lin Ke completes the Noble Review. Now it has been 3 days since the first day of the Noble Review. In these 3 days, their master Lin Ke has done nothing. Or rather, their master Lin Ke is only doing one thing. Play. Most people are meditating or training in the camp, while their master Lin Ke is writing books, painting, and writing songs in the camp. In short, Lin Ke has not done anything related to conquest. On the 3rd day, their master Lin Ke finally wrote his first book. It is called Notre Dame de Paris. Where is Paris? What is the Virgin Mary? In the Great Wilderness City, many people have learned the common language of Nasanj and usually like to read books and newspapers. When Lin Ke finished writing his first book, the people of the Great Wilderness who heard the news couldn't sit still. Especially those fans of Lin Ke's books. A few days later, after reading the book, Princess Lin Ke said that such a good story must be sold in the kingdom of Gila, and the abyss was also boiling. It can be imagined that most people who can read are nobles, and most nobles gather in the abyss. Before, Lin Ke came to the abyss, but it made many ladies and young ladies crazy. Now, Princess Lin Ke guarantees that Lin Ke's book can be sold in the kingdom of Gila. So, countless people are looking forward to how this book will be sent from the Phaser plane to the Nasan plane. Blue Light Sky City. Lin Ke sat on a wooden chair. He was not used to sitting on the ground, so he changed some Phaser etiquette. In front of him was a large round table. He was in the first seat, and there were 13 people sitting around him. 4 of them came from the previous Mountain Forest Fire School, the remaining 8 came from the recruited wild mages, and the remaining 1 was under. Lord Buck, the Song of the Torrent sect has decided to go to war with us. At this time, a wild mage with sinister eyes said in a deep voice, it is said that Ms. Young, who is far away in the east, is also rushing here. Ms. Young? She is just a weakling at level 10. How can she compare to the strength of our Flame Demon King? Next to this wild mage with sinister eyes was a wild mage with messy hair who looked like a mad woman. The mad woman looked at Lin Ke with fanatical worship. Ha ha ha. I will burn Ms. Yang to death and use it as my noble sacrifice to the Flame Demon King. Ha 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 ha. You are only level 5. You can't even burn me to death. The white-haired and white-bearded old man sitting on Lin Ke's right snorted coldly and then said to Lin Ke next to him, Lord Buck, I think Ms. Yang still needs to be taken seriously. After all, our flame demon sect is about to be promoted. Lin Ke nodded slightly and said nothing. The two most powerful wild mages he recruited were an ambitious level 6 mage and a crazy level 5 female mage. The others had not even reached level 5. It must be said that it made sense that wild mages were not taken seriously. It was already lucky for these wild mages to be able to grow to level 5 and 6. After all, most of the resources had been seized by schools, sects and temples. They survived in the cracks and had to grow with traits such as viciousness, madness, and recklessness. Of course, in the eyes of Anders' teacher and other orthodox people, Lin Ke was also one of the best. A wild mage who lived to level 10. How could it be possible without any sewer trays? The saying that one could meditate to level 10 in the mountains was just to deceive children like Ander. Lord Buck, I have already asked someone to start publishing the book you asked me to do. Ander also reported on the side. Lin Ke, who had been silent, finally opened his mouth and praised after hearing this. Well done. Lord Buck, is there really such a place and temple in the world? Although it was not appropriate for the occasion, Ander still wanted to ask. Ander, I said, that's a fabrication. Lin Ke smiled and shook his head with a vicissitude on his face. But Ander became more and more certain of his guess. In short, the book Notre Dame de Paris tells the story of a hypocritical and vicious person who is the archdeacon of a branch of the temple. He persecuted the girl Miralda, but at the last moment, it was the ugly and kind-hearted bell ringer Quasimodo who sacrificed himself to save the girl. After reading this book, Ander felt that he had learned a lot of truths, such as not judging people by their appearance, and what is kindness, friendship, and sacrifice. After reading it, Ander always wondered if there really is such a place. And Lord Buck experienced all this in his childhood, or witnessed all this, so he could write this masterpiece. At the same time, Andorra was also thinking, since there is a Notre Dame de Paris, then there must be many other Notre Dame de Paris? How can there be so much dirt and filth under the gods? Grades of 17 or 18 are the age when people are good at doubting and thinking. Just as everyone was about to continue discussing, there were loud noises from the sky. Boom. Feeling this vibration, several people's faces changed, and they all walked out of the door. But they saw the scene a few days ago reappear. The sky seemed to be torn apart, and a dark crack appeared in the sky, revealing the colorful void behind it. Who is it again? The damn invader. Destroy. Kill. Heretics. Destroy them all. The gods were angry, and the figure of the god of the sky was also looming. However, at this moment, a man with wings on his back came in, and a huge momentum suppressed the gods, and dared not speak. This momentum, this power, the god of the sky, who was about to appear, also disappeared behind the blue sky again. This person's power is not as strong as his, but his essence is more advanced. The man with wings on his back did not say much after he came in, but just casually identified the direction. Then his body fell towards the northwest of the farther continent like a gust of wind. After a while, the man with wings on his back appeared in a camp. Lin Ke came out with a book in his hand and looked at the man. Hello, Mr. Lin Ke. I am Wind Spreader, Pio Hurricane under the command of the Grand Duke of the Mountains, and I have been ordered to come to pick up the book. The legendary strongman named Pio Hurricane landed, and everyone saluted. Wind Spreader, Pio Hurricane is a capable general under the command of the Grand Duke of the Mountains. He is extremely powerful and a legendary strongman of level 25. Mr. Pio Hurricane, I leave it to you. Thank you for your trouble. Lin Ke handed the book over, and Pio Hurricane did not say much, but just accepted the thin book, and then directly tore it into the void with both hands and drilled in. The sky of Father was light and peaceful, as if nothing had happened. Chapter 285 The Crazy Decision of the Flame Demon King Buck. Blue Light Sky City, Flame Demon School. Everyone looked at the sky that had returned to normal, and their mouths felt extremely dry. This Anders' teacher wanted to say something, but his experience over the past 100 years could not let him know what kind of existence it was. It was actually even more powerful than the previous invaders. That wind-like breath actually overwhelmed the height and depth of the sky. That is an outsider. Lin Ke's voice was very calm, which made the other 13 people regain some composure. In fact, Lin Ke knew in his heart that this was the person who came after Lin Ke contacted the Emperor Wumian. That winged wind spreader, broken hurricane came here just to take away the Notre Dame de Paris he had just written. It must be said that Princess Lin Ke is Princess Lin Ke. Originally, the 5-colored dragon mother did not want to spoil Lin Ke so much, but the Grand Duke of the Human Mountain Range loved his niece, so he directly sent a powerful legend. As long as he wanted, wind spreader, broken hurricane could completely suppress the phaser plane alone. Of course, there are many such large planes, and the most abundant thing in the heavens and stars is a plane. But many large planes don't have powerful beings like level 25. Outsiders, they are so powerful. Anda muttered to himself, looking at the high sky, with a hint of envy. Yes. Powerful. Charming. Handsome. The crazy woman looked at the sky, her saliva almost flowing down. What does this have to do with being handsome? Lin Ke glanced at her. Sooner or later, I want to. The sinister man squinted his eyes, and it was unknown what he was thinking. Everyone had all kinds of ideas, but Lin Ke still called them back. He has a lot of books to write in the future, and it is estimated that this kind of thing will happen frequently. What space cracks, what plane crystal walls, tearing them up, the natives of Phaser will get used to it. I think so. Back in the meeting room, everyone was silent for a few seconds. Anders' teacher spoke solemnly. I think the outsider seems to have landed in the northwest. Why don't we find a place near the temple city to land? The temple city is a city completely controlled by the temple. Phaser is very similar to ancient Europe, a small country with few people, or a small city with few people. Most cities are like Blue Light Sky City, where many schools and sects coexist. But there are also many cities, where the entire city is controlled by a temple. Almost everyone in this city is a believer, only a few are not. In such a city, schools and sects cannot survive, because they cannot recruit people. But it is safe. After all, there is the protection of the gods. I object. That is not in our development interests, and Lord Flame Demon will not be able to recruit believers. The sinister man was the first to raise his hand to object. Bah, like a quail. Although the crazy woman did not say no, she also meant to oppose it. Several other wild mages also expressed their opposition. But safety is the first factor. Only with safety and stability can we go better and further. In a city blessed by the gods, Lord Flame Demon can still be promoted safely. Once the foreign visitors arrive, without the protection of the gods, we will die. But almost all the people of the forest fire stood with Andora's teacher, and all expressed their support for this idea. The two sides quarreled. 13 people. 4 of them came from the Orthodox school, with high levels and many spells. Of course, their real combat strength is uncertain. The other 8 came from wild mages, who were promoted step by step from the bottom of society. They were low level, and knew few spells, but they were experienced, both in combat and social experience. The remaining one was Anda. He was stupid, simple, and passionate, but lucky. Sometimes Lin Ke also wondered if Anda would also be a lucky bloodline, if he took back Nasan enlightenment. After all, Anda met him. I think we shouldn't go to the temple city. Amid the noise, Anda spoke calmly at this time. Everyone stopped at once. In the past few days, Anda's status has risen sharply. Even Anda's teacher has to take care of his disciples in many things. In the past, Anda was just an inconspicuous one among his many disciples, but now he is an important one. And the reason is naturally because the Lord Buck, the king of the Flame Demon, loves Anda. Lucky boy. Since Anda has also expressed his opinion, they know that Buck probably thinks the same way. Sure enough, they saw Buck stand up, pace back and forth beside the table, then stop and look at everyone, with a gleam in his eyes. We still have to move. But we are not going east, we are going back to the northwest. Lin Ke scanned everyone's eyes. Northwest? Everyone exclaimed. Even the wild mages were no exception. Only the crazy woman and the sinister man had a gleam in their eyes. Buck, what do you want to do? And his teacher spoke in horror and even called Lin Ke by his name. I want to contact those foreign visitors. They have more powerful power. Lin Ke stared into Anda's teacher's eyes. The gods control the path for us to be promoted, and we are imprisoned on the earth like slaves. But our existence should be like that winged man just now. Our home should be a higher sky. A higher sky? Question mark? As soon as this was said, everyone's face changed immediately. People in Fasa yearn for the sky. I don't know what caused this yearning, but this yearning is just like the love that the ancients had for the land in Lin Ke's previous life. The Fasa people love the sky deeply. Existences above level 15 can create temples because people above level 15 can fly. Even the residences built by the Fasa people are as close to the sky as possible. Even the most powerful gods are gods of the sky. The sky is the yearning of all Fasa lives. So, what are you going to do? Anda's teacher's voice became hoarse, and he was now filled with deep regret. Originally, he thought that Buck, known as the King of Flame Demons, was the savior of the Mountain Forest Fire School. But now he feels that this Lord Buck is dragging the Mountain Forest Fire into the abyss. I want to contact those visitors from outside the domain. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes and showed an ambitious look. Respected Lord Buck, I will definitely follow you. The sinister man shook his Dharma medium to the left 3 times, which represented the respect in the etiquette of the Fasa. Haha. The king of fire demons will surely become the god of fire demons. Ha ha ha. The crazy woman laughed wildly, and her eyes were full of fanaticism when she looked at Lin Ke. Contact with outsiders? Exclamation mark. Everyone was shocked and speechless. What a crazy person. But in turn, these people found opportunities in it. Other outsiders are very dangerous, but those outsiders in the northwest seem to be very friendly. Chapter 286, Confrontation. Ms. Yang arrives. They actually made such a plan. Contacting outsiders. This plan has to be said to be very bold. But Lin Ke actually knew that several waves of Fascia people had gone to the place where Lin Ke was to contact him. Lin Ke also entertained him well. After all, he wanted to spread his reputation. But the effect has not been very good. No schools or sects went to seek power, and there were mostly some wild mages and mortals. It's useful, but not very useful. Unless there is an organizer. But these schools have vested interests, and they have no idea of betraying their class. So now Lin Ke has to do it himself. This wave is a collaboration between himself and himself. Then what do we need to do, my great flame demon? The crazy woman was full of fanaticism. Are we going to kill them? Lin Ke, are you sick? Everyone was a little speechless. This is too crazy. Your thin arms and legs, you can be slapped away by someone. But after the crazy woman interrupted, the heaviness of everyone was slightly relieved. Kill. No, it's cooperation. Lin Ke pondered. I remember that great being said that he came for friendship. That's true, but I'm afraid it's fake. And as teacher saw that he couldn't change the general situation, so he could only try his best to make suggestions. Then I'll let the people below go and test it. It wasn't a substantive suggestion, just the simplest way, which is normally the case. However, Lin Ke waved his hand and squinted his eyes to look out the window. No, I'll go in person for the first time. What? This is too dangerous. Lord Flame Demon King is invincible. The reactions of the 13 people were different. For example, the crazy woman cheered and jumped for joy, while the others changed their expressions. When contacting such an unknown terrifying existence, shouldn't we throw stones to test the water? The bottom of the school can be used as stones. No, they are equal to me. Moreover, they may not be able to accurately grasp the intentions of those visitors from outside the domain, and they may do bad things. Lin Ke still insisted on doing so, and the others did not change his mind. However, when the 13 people and Lin Ke were discussing specific matters, a cold female voice sounded outside. Flame Demon Buck, come out and see me. The voice was mighty and resounding throughout the Flame Demon School. The Flame Demon School's base was very large, including the original Forest Fire School, as well as some buildings purchased through magic. These buildings Lin Ke called Father Towers, which were houses where father people lived. The Flame Demon School's base had dozens of Father Towers in total. And now, outside the dozens of father towers, a group of people were gathering on the street, looking coldly at the Flame Demon School's base. Seeing this, some pedestrians around stayed to watch the excitement, and some smart people hurriedly left the area. Some were buildings and people affected by the aftermath of the fight. After a while, Lin Ke came down with 13 main members and a large number of subordinates who had joined the Flame Demon School, and saw a group of people headed by the woman. He immediately had a guess in his mind. Sure enough, as soon as he arrived at the gate of the Flame Demon School's base, the woman spoke. "I'm for Yanj. You killed my schooler Lala. Either you give me compensation or I will destroy your school." Ms. Yanj looked indifferent. Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. Ms. Yanj was tall and attractive, wearing luxurious clothes. She looked very elegant. But unfortunately, her IQ was not very good. Lin Ke shook his head and said, "I'll give you a chance. It's not easy for you to reach level 10. As long as you bring the Song of the Torrent into my Flame Demon School, I won't kill you." A level 10 magician. How difficult would it be to achieve that in Phaser? Even in Nassing, it's not that easy. For example, Uncle Billy was only a level 8 butler at the beginning. Of course, he is not pitying now, but he is too lazy to bother. The more he understands, the more Lin Ke knows. Schools are not necessarily isolated. It is very likely that there is a sect behind the school, and there is a temple behind the sect, and there are gods behind the temple. Beat the small one and the big one will come out. Beat the big one and the old one will come out. Beat the old one and the ancestor one will come out. It's really tiring. Of course, there are some schools and sects that are independent, but these are all confidential, and Lin Ke can't figure out whether there is a backer behind the Torrent Song sect. Anyway, Forest Fire definitely doesn't have one, otherwise he wouldn't have thought of following him. "We merge into the Flame Demon School?" Ms. Yanj sneered, and the others behind her laughed. "Did you know that our Ms. Yanj has actually broken through the legend and reached the Holy Land?" Behind Ms. Yanj, someone taunted Lin Ke. "Holy Land? What is this?" Lin Ke looked at the people behind him. Whether it was the original Forest Fire or the Wild Mage, they all looked confused. "Stupid Wild Mage. The Holy Land is the realm after the legend. The Holy Land is from level 1 to level 10, and then there are the great gods." Ms. Yanj said with pride and disdain, "I have already broken through to level 10, but I have been hiding until now for those enemies. I didn't expect that they didn't jump out, but you jumped out, ignorant and lowly wild mage." At this point, Ms. Yanj shook her head. "I will give you a chance. It is not easy for a wild mage to become a legend. If you are willing to be my servant, you may have a chance to break through to the Holy Land in 100 years. Of course, in this process you must become my lowest, most humble, most obedient and most submissive servant. You must abandon your relatives, friends, and lovers and serve me wholeheartedly." After saying this, Lin Ke was already stunned. There are such people. However, thinking of the gap in cognition between the two sides, Lin Ke was relieved. Humans are not as big as cows and horses, but when this human sticks out the Gatling gun, cows and horses are just cows and horses. After Ms. Yanj finished speaking, some people behind Ms. Yanj cast envious and jealous expressions at Lin Ke. This made Lin Ke sigh. If there is a power higher than Nassing in the future, will there be nobles as ignorant and arrogant as Ms. Yanj? Flame Demon, surrender quickly. Come and kiss Ms. Yanj's toes. What an enviable guy. Those people shouted, looking not like magicians, but like lackeys. Lin Ke smiled and looked behind him. "What do you think?" And looked at Lin Ke cautiously. "Lord Buck, you won't." Lin Ke was helpless. "Do you think I'm that kind of person?" He saw that everyone's eyes were looking at him nervously, staring straight at him. He could only smile and shook his head, turned around and looked at Ms. Yanj and said, "Forget it. Considering that you provide me with entertainment, I will take you as a maid." Chapter 287 Sanctuary. Arrogant, ignorant, bold. Behind Ms. Yanj, people turned pale and shouted loudly. "What an ignorant and arrogant existence. Do you know the greatness of the Holy Land?" A white-haired old man behind Ms. Yanj also stood up. The old man was wearing a gorgeous enchanter robe, and the magic on the robe was shining. It was estimated that his level was not low. No need to say more. Ms. Yanj's face was as cold as frost, and her momentum rose. Level 11. Ms. Yang had already broken through from level 9 to level 10, but she was cautious by nature and had no one to rely on, so she kept it a secret from the people around her for more than 100 years. After all, she knew that some people around her were lackers of the temple. In the city, where the headquarters of the Riptide Song School was located, an old man from a temple had always been interested in her body. Finally, when she sensed that she was about to break through to level 11, she released the news. However, not long after she released the news, she received the news that her capable general Alala had died. How unreasonable. Although Alala is arrogant, there is a reason for this. The reason is that Alala is the one who grew up under the care of Ms. Yang. Alala is the descendant of Ms. Yang's deceased friend, so she was trained by her to be her capable subordinate and poured a lot of resources into him. Although Ms. Yang did not treat Alala as her nephew later, after all, Alala was too annoying. But everyone knows that Alala is a dog of Yang. Beating a dog depends on the owner. If Alala, the dog, is beaten, and Yang, the owner, does not show up, then no one will believe her in the future. Of course, if the person who beats the dog becomes a dog, that is another matter. I grant you death. Ms. Yang put her right hand aside. Rosethorn. A magician immediately stepped forward and handed the staff in his hand to Ms. Yang. Although there is no space ring, Ms. Yang has a lot of magic servants waiting. Holding the exquisite and beautiful Rosethorn staff, the magic element around Ms. Yang began to shine. She didn't need to defend herself at all, because the people around her had already started to cast protective spells one by one to resist her. She just had to be responsible for attacking. Lin Ke watched silently. This set of people defending and attacking was very scientific. After all, everyone has their own strengths. Those who are good at attacking attack, and those who are good at defense defend. Nasan usually develops as a whole. For example, Orf is not a weak magician, but a scholar who swings the thunder staff to hammer the enemy. Lord Buck, Ms. Yang is level 11. Why don't we retreat? Anda gritted his teeth and stepped forward to dissuade. Yes, that's the Holy Land, so it's called the Holy Land. Too scary. Behind Lin Ke, the people of the Flame Demon School were also horrified. After all, they only knew that level 10 was a legend. The 11th level of the Holy Land, their meager knowledge has never seen it. Even level 10 is rare. But, level 11. Is level 11 very strong? Lin Ke shook his head and took a step forward slowly. The people around were in doubt. Lord Flame Demon, the enemy has already reached the Holy Land. Anda's teacher was a little scared, and then he tried. How about we merge directly into the Torrent Song sect? He had already begun to call Torrent Song a sect, and there was still fear in his expression. Lin Ke glanced at him. Anda's teacher was more mature, and the first thing he thought of when encountering something was to hug thighs. For example, the Flame Demon King Buck was his first thigh, and now it seems that he has met the second thigh, and the old guy can't sit still. Great Flame Demon King, after killing her, I want her clothes. The crazy woman didn't care about the Lady Yang opposite, but just humbly and frantically asked Lin Ke, "Oh, how do you know I want to kill her?" Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. "I'm only level 10. Intuition, Lord Buck." The crazy woman's face was almost grinning. "I believe in my intuition." "Very good." Lin Ke nodded. He doesn't need loyalty cultivated by emotions. That's unrealistic. What he needs is loyalty, whether it is loyalty from oppression or loyalty from helplessness. I've been wondering, what kind of idiot can cultivate an idiot like Alala? Lin Ke stepped forward slowly, her tone relaxed and joyful. "It seems that you have chosen death." Ms. Yang had deliberately slowed down, and now her magic power began to burst out. Ripple. Ms. Yang raised her arms, and 2 purple water balls condensed in her palms, with energy surging inside. Although she was promoted to level 11, she did not relax at all when facing Lin Ke. As a level 11 existence, she has seen too many examples of the weak defeating the strong. And she had just been promoted to level 11 not long ago. Strictly speaking, there is not much difference between her and level 10. Ripple. Do you know what a torrent is? Lin Ke stepped forward slowly, steadily, and confidently. HMPH. Ms. Yang's face became even colder, and the 2 streams of water in her hands flew out of her hands. she pronounced in an aria, "A mere fire demon can only be extinguished under the torrent." Two purple water columns turned into two long dragons and roared out, with purple light flashing, and the air around them was a little trembling. It seems that these two attacks are quite powerful. This is the 9th level magic torrent, the famous magic of the torrent song sect, and his teacher's face changed drastically. However, including him, everyone held up a magic shield to block Lin Ke. It should be said that, although they said surrender, they still did not turn against each other at the beginning. They still helped Lin Ke resist. However, the two water columns seemed to be able to break through everything, and those shields were broken at once, as if they were made of paper. But Lin Ke did not stop. Water overcomes fire. Lin Ke smiled. You see, this is the difference in the world's cognition. It is not water that overcomes fire, but oxygen. Oxygen makes fire grow, and also makes fire go. What does it have to do with you, water? As he spoke, a scorching flame rose from his body. Skill. Overheat. Overheating heat is not only used by 0-degree absorption. Usually, Lin Ke can deal with it with the power of scholar. The huge heat impacted the water flow, and the water flow was evaporated almost instantly. As the skills were used, the power in Lin Ke's body also overwhelmed and pressed over. How is it possible? Ms. Yang exclaimed, frowning. Level 12. As she exclaimed, the faces of the Song of the Torrent sect changed one by one. The King of the Flame Demon. Sanctuary! Exclamation mark. Chapter 288 Surrender, or Become a Slave. Level 12. This is a level 12 Saint Domain expert. Everyone was shocked. I told you, you can't call it a torrent. Lin Ke walked forward slowly, and the large drops of magma on the ground said, it's just two streams of water. Torrent? Lin Ke had seen the scene where Garros led the entire Azan army to charge. At that time, the enemy was Viscount Mantis. Viscount Mantis had 50,000 troops, but he couldn't defeat Garros' charge. That was the most turbulent torrent. What's even more unimaginable is that this torrent is just a characteristic of Azan's bloodline. I don't know how powerful Azan's blood turbulence was. Thinking of this, Lin Ke suddenly felt bored. What is he doing? In the mythological era, Marshal Azan fought on the battlefield and won every battle. He guided the human race to survive the attack of the Holy Life Alliance and then assisted Emperor Gilari to establish the Gilar Empire. What about him? He has spent too much time here. So, let's start the religious movement tomorrow. Even if you are a saint, you still can't defeat me. Yang in front of her spoke firmly, although she didn't notice that her legs were shaking a little. Everyone, he must have just broken through the 12th level not long ago. If we join forces, he can't do anything to us. Ms. Yang did not admit defeat. It can be seen that she is determined and was not defeated by Lin Ke's momentum all at once. The faces of the people behind Ms. Yang changed one by one. Some were surprised, some were afraid, and some were fierce. But no matter what, they all knew that Flame Demon King Buck was not a level 10 existence, but a level 12 existence. God of the Sky. The people of the Song of the Torrent all sighed. Behind Lin Ke, the people of the Flame Demon sect showed joy on their faces. Level 12! Exclamation mark. Their own Flame Demon King is a level 12 existence? Exclamation mark. First they were shocked and then surprised, making everyone dizzy. So powerful, what is there to fear for Ms. Yang? Ha ha ha. Lord Flame Demon, you are the most noble being in the world. I worship you. When everyone was shocked, the crazy woman shouted like a madman. The sinister man's eyes flickered, and it was unknown what he was thinking. Raging torrent. 10,000 waters. Ocean waves. Ms. Yang's voice became louder, faster, and more urgent. As a saint, her power is not bad. People in the saint can already promote their own schools to sects and spread them throughout the whole continent of Phaser. This also proves that her power is very good. Normally, if she uses all her strength, even the entire Blue Light Sky City may be destroyed by her. One person's power can destroy a city. But now she gathered her power, but she couldn't hurt the existence in front of her. This man just had a raging fire attached to his body. But her magic didn't work at all. All water element will turn into water vapor before reaching the man on the opposite side who was burning with magma. but those water vapors will strangely turn into sparkling ice crystals and fall to the ground. Lightning chain. Sword of flame. Ice crystal beam. Not only Ms. Young, but also the magicians behind her also attacked in horror, but they still couldn't hurt Lin Ke at all. No, or rather, these people couldn't even stop Lin Ke's steps. You know nothing about power. Lin Ke walked and shook his head, and a huge amount of sparks spewed out of his mouth and nose, burning and scalding. Power. Ms. Young's face was pale, her bright lips slightly opened, and the magic behind her head fell weakly. Not only her, but also the magicians behind her were like this, each with a look of despair in their eyes. Too powerful. Is this the strength of the 12th level sanctuary? Let alone other things. Just relying on one magic can make everyone helpless. How powerful is the magic called Flame Demon? Ms. Young retreated step by step, but she was still standing, but her steps were a little staggering. Some people had already left when they saw that the situation was not good, either to report the news and get help, or to run away directly. There were about 100 people left. These people are all magicians above level 5, with their own pride and dignity. They would rather die than defend their dignity. However, just when Lin Ke was about to reach Ms. Young, a figure suddenly jumped out from the back. Evil Lord, go to hell. A young and mature voice with tension and fear. This is a teenager wearing armor and holding an iron sword. The teenager's eyes were firm, and the iron sword in his hand stabbed Lin Ke's eyes fiercely. Clang. However, Lin Ke did not move at all, but the tip of the iron sword made a crisp sound after stabbing Lin Ke's eyes, and then it broke into pieces. Damn it. You lowly knight. You are angering this wild mage. Back off. Before Lin Ke could say anything, the people behind Ms. Young spoke in panic. An old man holding an enchanted water element staff was even more angry, and he fired 2 arrows directly at the boy's back. Even level 10 magic can't break through the magic defense of the Fire Lord Buck. What do you want to do with a mere iron sword? This is equivalent to spitting at him. The damage is 0, and the insult is extremely strong. You, the knight, are disgusted that we are not dying fast enough, right? Question mark? The master of the night, the old man, blushed. However, he did not need to make a move, and the young man was already wrapped in a ball of flames and turned into nothingness. Lin Ke's face was completely gloomy at this time. Are you insulting me? His voice was loud, as if he had accidentally brought amplification, and the faces of those who were suppressed became even paler. Flame Demon King, I admit that you won. At this time, Ms. Young seemed to have stabilized her mind a little because of this interruption. Her slightly trembling voice came through. What do you want us to do to eliminate our mistakes and avoid death? Her voice was no longer arrogant and indifferent, but full of humility. Seeing this, Lin Ke was slightly surprised. This Ms. Young is a bit of a hero. What about that young man just now? Lin Ke was calm in his heart, but he snorted impatiently. You let a lowly knight point the tip of his sword at me. Hearing Lin Ke's words, Ms. Young couldn't help but frowned. A lowly knight actually attacked a noble sanctuary magician. It's difficult. Ms. Young herself knew that if she encountered such behavior, she would have to kill all the related bloodlines of that knight. This is an insult. She bit her lower lip, and her lips turned bright red like blood. I apologize to you, and he has received the punishment he deserved. Not enough. Lin Ke interrupted with a cold expression. Submit, or become a slave. Choose. Chapter 289 Gather all the oppressed. Submit, or become a slave. Lin Ke's voice was extremely cold. No. Ms. Young subconsciously raised her head, her face even paler. After hesitating for a second, she seemed to have made up her mind and shook her armor. Her arm lifted up 3 times to the left, and then the whole person seemed to be drained of strength, and suddenly fell to the ground. Ms. Young. Sigh. Such humiliation. Behind Ms. Young, the other people all had complicated expressions. Lin Ke's face was calm. The etiquette of lifting 3 times to the left is equivalent to the kneeling ceremony in the previous life. Lin Ke only learned about this etiquette later. Before, when he was on the Red Sack Bird, a staff member performed this ceremony for Lin Ke, and Lin Ke imitated it, which scared the staff. People kneel down to you, which means respect for your status as a magician. As a result, you actually kneel down to return the courtesy? So, now Ms. Young is actually kneeling to Lin Ke to submit. After all, they have been together for many years. The magicians behind Ms. Yang just watched Ms. Yang surrender, and they seemed to be drained of their energy. However, Lin Ke looked at them again and said, I'm talking about all of you. If you don't surrender, you will become slaves. Everyone! Exclamation mark. Why, it wasn't you who attacked me just now. Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. Or do you want to die? You wish. I will imprison your bodies, make your bodies into puppets, and become someone else's slaves. What are these old magicians thinking? Beat him up, and then want to survive? Want to walk away simply? What are you thinking? After Lin Ke spoke, everyone was also stunned. This fire demon wants the entire Riptide Song sect? You know, the Riptide Song sect is not exclusive to Ms. Yang. Ms. Yang is just the most talented person of this generation. Why? An old magician spoke out brazenly. He looked like a respected person and stood behind Ms. Yang. But before he finished speaking, his body turned into nothingness in the fierce flames. Who else? By the way, the next one won't be dead. I will make him into a puppet. Lin Ke smiled, crossed his arms, and looked at everyone. Do you want someone to try my skills? He can't make puppets, but he can use Nassen's magic. Magic is something like that. Some powerful magic has long been replaced. The magic that has been used until now are some very practical and exquisite magic, and they have been made into skills. For example, the skill he used before, Banshee Charm, is very useful. You devil, you want us to? A young magician looked at Lin Ke, pointed at Lin Ke with his finger, and wanted to accuse him loudly. Oh, there are really people who are not afraid of death. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes, and a faint light bloomed in his pupils. Banshee Charm. In an instant, his powerful mental power hit the young man's mind fiercely, and nailed a mark on the young man's soul in an instant. Before the young man finished speaking, his face immediately became demented, and he stayed with his mouth open for 2 seconds. When his saliva was about to fall, he changed back to his previous appearance. But this time he didn't say anything, but walked past Ms. Yang and the others, and came to Lin Ke. What are you doing? Come back. A middle-aged majestic wizard's face changed, and he wanted to keep the young man. It seemed that the young man should be his disciple. Very good. You are willing to come to the Flame Demon sect. Very good. Go, kid. Lin Ke gently raised his magic medium, and touched the young man's magic medium, which showed goodwill and friendship. Then the young man walked towards the people of the Flame Demon sect with a cold expression. The people of the Flame Demon sect were shocked. What kind of magic is this? Master Flame Demon, I want to learn. When everyone was still coveting this magic, the crazy woman spoke first, her eyes shining. No problem. Lin Ke turned around and said gently, those who don't betray should be rewarded. On the other hand, the magicians of the Torrent Song sect, who were usually high and mighty, felt terrified. Directly controlling people's minds. Father actually has such a terrifying and evil magic? Exclamation mark. Lin Ke now understood why this happened. This is not only because of the history of Nassen and Andrew, but more importantly, the policy of ignorance of the gods of Phaser. Soul, that is the realm of gods. This is a rule that the Phaser people have known since childhood, which has also caused the Phaser's research and exploration in related fields to be basically zero. Unlike Nassen, the soul and other things have been explored almost in the mythological era. Andrew also proposed a professional system on the shoulders of giants. I'm willing to submit. I will become your subordinate. I surrender. Behind Ms. Yang, the magicians put down their postures and began to shake the magic medium to salute. If there is one, there will be two. With Ms. Yang's submission, they all obeyed one by one. Very good. I think you will be grateful for today's decision in the future. Lin Ke smiled slightly. Let's go. Everyone follow me and enter the Flame Demon sect. Then we are all a family. Lin Ke walked forward enthusiastically and contacted everyone one by one with the magic medium. The contact of the magic medium is similar to a hug. Everyone was a little uncomfortable with Lin Ke, but they had already knelt down. So what if they hugged? Old, middle-aged, and young magicians, with faces that were either bitter or helpless, approached Lin Ke to learn magic. People who didn't know would think that they were all forced. After a while, everyone finished this simple initiation ceremony. Lin Ke looked at the hundreds of people in front of him. Although he felt that it was not enough, he still showed a hint of excitement on his face. Fellow countrymen, people of Phaser. Lin Ke stood at the gate of the Flame Demon sect and spoke loudly. At this time, everyone's mind was trembling. Whether it was the original Flame Demon sect or the original Torrent Song sect, their minds were filled by Lin Ke at this time. Lin Ke wanted to sow some seeds for everyone at this time. And it was not just them. At this time, more people were watching. There were ordinary people, wild magicians, and other schools and sects trying to find out the news. We Phaser have ushered in the biggest crisis in history because those foreign visitors have arrived. Lin Ke paused to give everyone time to react. Everyone was shocked again, especially Ms. Yang and others. At this time, shouldn't we talk about what the sect should do in the future? Why mention those foreign visitors? But this is also our biggest opportunity. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes, but his voice became louder and louder. They are so powerful that even the gods cannot punish them. They are so powerful that even those high and mighty gods can do nothing about it. As soon as these words came out, everyone's faces changed. Chapter 290 The Power to Redeem This World. We are humble beings. Lin Ke's voice was full of sonority. The gods are high above us, imprisoning us, hurting us, and treating us as lambs to be slaughtered. I went from being an ordinary person to a wild mage because of oppression, and from a wild mage to a sectarian, and from a sectarian to a sectarian. In the future, maybe I will become a member of the temple, and even a god. Powerful, great, and eternal gods. But, Lin Ke's tone changed at this time, and his voice was heavy and mixed with a trace of uncontrollable anger. Becoming a god can't save the Phaser people. After these words came out, everyone's faces became more complicated. Some people were thinking, and some people were terrified. But people like the Sinister Man also burst into amazing spirits in their eyes. Oh, my god. I will always worship Lord Buck. The crazy woman's face was flushed at this time, and the magic element on her body were trembling, obviously excited to the extreme. The words of the crazy woman spoke the voice of a wild mages, who didn't rise from the bottom, who didn't want to resist because of oppression. If they can eat and dress warmly, work steadily, spend time with their families, and have fun in their spare time, who would want to be a wild mage? The problem is that, if they don't become wild mages, they can't fulfill their wishes, whether it's revenge, desire, helplessness, or oppression and resistance. Lin Ke continued to speak passionately at the gate. Some of the content was very outrageous, but no one, including Ms. Yang, wanted to leave. Their minds were completely occupied by the content of Lin Ke's speech at this time, and their mental power, which was usually very fast in constructing magic, became obscure. The number of people did not decrease, but increased. Even most of them were mortals. These mortals were listening to Lin Ke's story attentively. At this time, there was chaos outside, and many cities were shrouded in fear. This fear came from the alien visitors and the location and the gods who were not as powerful as imagined. We must bring all the oppressed people to the front. Mortals and wild mages are the most powerful and widespread forces of our Phaser. Some of us have the most powerful talents, some have the smartest brains, and some have the most hard-working physiques. Knights, magicians, believers, we are all one. No one is born a god. No one is born noble. All of us are born Phasers. Lin Ke's voice became louder and louder, and finally even covered the 3 or 4 blocks nearby. Originally, there were only 200 or 300 people from the Fire Demon sect and the Torrent Song sect who listened to his speech. At this time, there were tens of thousands of people filling the surrounding streets. Boom. Lin Ke's body expanded at this time, turning into a lava giant more than 10 meters high. Everyone exclaimed, and then found that they could not feel the burning heat, but a warm feeling. Skill overheating. Skill 0 degree. Under the control of Lin Ke's 2 skills, the heat seemed very stable, and people only felt warm and comfortable. Unite. Brothers and sisters. We must unite. Liberate all Phaser. Lin Ke raised his arm and shouted. All of the tens of thousands of people suddenly widened their eyes, and gasped through their nostrils. To those who didn't know, it seemed like a sect or temple was preaching doctrine here, fanatically and excitedly. Unite. We must unite. The first person to respond was not the crazy woman, but the Sinister Man. The Sinister Man's face was full of fanaticism, and his eyes were filled with cold and crazy expressions. His whole body was suddenly wrapped in ice, as if he had become an ice man, emitting a chilly air, and then he raised the Dharma medium to the left for a long time. Brothers and sisters. We are brothers and sisters. The crazy woman was the second one. If Lin Ke became a god, the crazy woman would definitely be the most fanatical believer. The crazy woman suddenly jumped up, and her body turned into a vulture with messy feathers, circling and flying around Lin Ke fanatically and excitedly. Lord Buck, only you can lead us. And his eyes were full of determination. In just a few days, Anda had changed completely. This change was brought to him by Lin Ke. In the past, he was kind, simple and passionate, so he was defenseless against Lin Ke. He did not listen to his teacher's teachings, but always believed that the return of kindness must be kind, but this return may be fast or slow, obvious or secret. And now, the admiration and simplicity he gave to Lin Ke have already received endless rewards. I am Anda, the flame demon. Anda's body turned into flaming lava in an instant, standing beside Lin Ke. The exclusive magic of the flame demon sect, the flame demon's true body. Not only Anda. One by one, because of excitement, they expressed their loyalty and admiration for Lin Ke. At this time, two people appeared beside Lin Ke. One was a sword-holding boy in armor, and the other was an elderly magician with a complicated expression. Ms. Yang was trembling in her heart. She found these two people who should have been swallowed by Lin Ke's flames long ago, and her eyes showed enlightenment. So Ms. Yang sighed softly, and raised her magic medium again to express her permanent submission. Unite. Beat those who oppress us. Brothers and sisters. At this time, the mortals raised their magic mediums one by one and responded loudly. The wild mages under Lin Ke's command were also crazy at this time, driving the madness of thousands of wild mages. What a noble person. What a great ideal. And his teacher also had confusion in his eyes at this time. Although he was a soft bone, he was kind in his heart, otherwise Anda would have been led astray by him long ago. In fact, including him, many magicians once had ideals. They may have been wild mages and mortals. Once they appeared like Lin Ke with a passion, and then were domined by stronger people, and entered the big dive out of phaser. They worked hard and desperately to climb up, but the original dreams and ideas had long been worn out, and turned into a pure desire to move forward. At this time, the fire demon King Buck, who was supposed to be a member of the carnivores, bravely stood up, and spoke for them who used to be the strong. Swing your sword at the stronger. The weak. Raise your sword and stab the weaker. Lin Ke pointed at the armored boy beside him. The boy's face was a little fluctuating at this time. Just now, Lin Ke used his third skill refraction to hide this boy, and only released him now. Everyone thought that Lin Ke had killed several people, but in fact he didn't kill anyone. Boy, are you willing to follow me? Lin Ke looked at the armored boy with a solemn expression. Not surrender, not submission, but following. Follow me, swing your sword at the stronger, until the stars fall, the world collapses, the rules are destroyed, and until death. Nasam. Follow a declaration. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 291, Overthrow the Gods of Father. The boy's face flushed, and Ms. Yang looked up in shock. What is this? In addition to her, the middle-aged majestic magician next to her was also like this. One of them had reached the threshold of level 10, and the other had already reached the Holy Realm. So they could feel that this simple sentence contained unmatched power. Master, what should I do? The boy in armor who dared to stab Lin Ke's eyes with a sword, hesitantly looked at his master, a magician. Promise Lord Flame Demon. Promise Lord Flame Demon. At this time, the boy's master, the old magician, was extremely excited. The old magician was defeated by Lin Ke psychologically. Once, he was a homeless beggar, and his parents were beaten to death when they were fighting for food with others. Fortunately, an old lady who was also a beggar took pity on him and adopted him, so he was lucky enough to grow up. Then, the kind old lady was considered to have blasphemed the magician with a dirty look, because she glanced at a certain noble school magician. So, the old lady was burned to death in his eyes. and the old lady was afraid that he, who was still underage, would be scared, so she endured the pain and curled up without making a sound. So, he joined that school and became the knight of the female magician, commonly known as cannon fodder. But later, he accidentally learned that the old lady's death was not because of a glance at the female magician. It was because the female magician thought that, although he was a beggar, he had a good appearance, so she wanted to take him under her command and keep him by her side to pleasing her eyes. So, in a revenge plan, he destroyed the small school and escaped from the city. He became a wild magician with various classics of the school. Then, under various circumstances, he was favored by Miss Young of the Torrent Song School and became a member of the school. A lifespan of hundreds of years made him forget the past, and he only cared about promotion and exploiting his former selves. But today, Lin Ke first made them lose their minds, and then aroused his oldest, deepest and most painful memories with a speech full of dry goods. Now, from inside to outside, he was completely submissive to Lin Ke. He liked the armored boy who was accepted because he saw a trace of unyielding qualities and taught him some qualities that he longed for but could not do. For example, justice, unyielding and kindness. Unexpectedly, when a group of noble magicians were oppressed, it was this boy who rose up to resist. Go, follow Lord Flame Demon. He was full of passion and wanted to directly change his job to become a fire magician. Also, don't call me master. Yes. The armored boy looked at Lin Ke with a blushing face and repeated Lin Ke's words. Lord Flame Demon, I will follow you until the stars fall, the world collapses, the rules are destroyed, and I will never change until I die. When these words came out, everyone was inexplicably shocked and didn't know what to say. Lin Ke didn't let others take the oath, but raised his arms and shouted, we must overthrow the temple of Blowlight Sky City, the temple of Poseidon. Then liberate the entire Fassa. Everyone was stunned. Many people's emotions, which had been aroused, were suddenly soaked by ice water. This directly overturned the temple of Blowlight Sky City, not to mention whether there were many powerful people inside. The sea god who was watching them from above would not watch them do such a thing. Unexpectedly, Lin Ke smiled mysteriously and pointed to the sky. The gods were attacked by foreign visitors. At this time, they are busy with their own affairs. It is a good opportunity for us to rise. There are good and evil foreign visitors. We can learn from and seek help from those kind foreign visitors, use their power to become stronger, and build our own country. In short, in general, to summarize, it is learn from the barbarians to defeat them. As soon as Lin Ke finished speaking, a clear whistle sounded in the sky. Cry. A noble and beautiful bird flew over them, and at the same time, a person landed from above with a clear and beautiful song. A girl in a black and white maid outfit fell from the sky and landed on the ground lightly and gracefully. The girl's expression was slightly shy, her face was slightly red, and there was no magic behind her head, but a head of beautiful golden hair. Under the command of the great wilderness lord, Sophie, the singer of destiny, greets Lord Flame Demon. The girl smiled and spoke. Her voice was like a kingfisher singing in the morning, calming the originally frightened mood of the crowd. The girl's voice had a strange power. I'm Flame Demon. Lin Ke pretended to be solemn at this time. In that temple, there seems to be a holy area, and there is also the gaze of the gods. I hope you can solve it for us. Is this an alien from the domain? Question mark? Everyone was frightened again. You are an alien from the domain? Ms. Young looked at Sophie, her pupils shrank sharply. Yes. Sophie smiled sweetly, but we come for friendship, not those fools who only know war. Speaking of only knowing war, Sophie's eyes faintly revealed a hint of disgust. Dislike war. Ms. Young frowned, catching the disgust in Sophie's eyes, and seemed to understand a little bit of the thoughts of the great wilderness lord. Really, are they here for friendship? I've met them, these outsiders. Lin Ke's voice became louder again. There are good and bad outsiders. Just like the phaser people, there are good and bad people. The only difference between them is that they don't have our magic. Lin Ke pointed to Sophie who was performing. Look, these are the people under the command of that lord, but except for the magic, they are no different from us. Everyone looked over and discovered this, so they gradually became bolder. Excuse me, Miss Sophie, when can you attack that temple? Lin Ke asked loudly. Now, we can leave the existences above level 10 to us. Sophie smiled sweetly and said according to Lin Ke's previous instructions, by the way, don't forget the agreement. The magic of the flame demon's true body. Our lord is very interested above level 10. The magic of the flame demon's true body? When Miss Yang and the others heard it, they knew that others were not helping them for free. Of course. I know the principle of the Lord of the Great Wilderness, which is fair trade, right? Whatever you give, you must get, right? Lin Ke said loudly. Yes, it can also be called, whatever you get, you must give. Sophie looked around. We don't interfere in any war subjectively, but we can all be hired. In the Great Wilderness, equal exchange is our principle. Okay. Lin Ke agreed loudly, and then said excitedly, thank you for your help, from outside the domain, people from the Great Wilderness. As he said that, Lin Ke turned around and looked at everyone and said solemnly and seriously, everyone, the time has come. Topple the mountain above Arthasa. Return the faith to ourselves. Start with, the Sea God. Chapter 292 Faith returns to humanity. Overthrow the rule of the gods. Everyone was shocked. No one had ever said such words to them. If it was just a simple saying, they would only think that this person was a psychopath. In the past, when they heard such a voice, they might report Lin Ke to the temple. But now, the gods who they thought were always right and powerful were helpless against some outsiders. And the god of the sky even announced that he would only protect his believers. This made many people dissatisfied. Like many magicians, many of them wanted to become gods, not believers. In addition, what Lin Ke said just now successfully moved this group of people. Especially Sophie's landing, which made everyone feel much more at ease. After all, they knew how powerful those outsiders were. In this case, Lin Ke directly maintained the state of the flame demon's true body and walked forward. The crazy woman, the sinister man, Miss Yang, and her and others all followed behind. Many mortals and wild mages were the same. They were just mortals, just wild mages, and they had no courage to resist the temple. But, they can wait and see. If Lin Ke really overthrows the rule of Blue Light Sky City, then what's wrong with really following Lin Ke's footsteps? So, a mighty stream of people rushed to the temple of the sea god. Just like a snowball, the crowd became more and more violent, and even Lin Ke, who was the leader, was a little frightened. In his soul space, the blood of the leader beat slightly, and he seemed to like this scene very much. It's like a person who likes coriander, drinking coriander milk tea, and the whole body is full of comfort. While moving forward, Sophie was singing. Her destined territory was slowly sung, but this time it had no other effect, only one. Improve the spirit. The surging crowd, shouting justice and faith, shouting to liberate Fasa, came all the way to the temple of the sea god. Originally, the gods were watching their own temples. People like Lin Ke who came to Blue Light Sky City and came here along the way were because they had the protection of the sea god here. However, Lin Ke knew that the kingdom of the sea god had been gnawed by the mermaid from the star reef in the ocean of stars and waves. The mermaid gnawed very hard, and Lin Ke remembered that the sea god of Phasa was almost swallowed whole. At this time, he was either recovering or sleeping, and the invaders were still eyeing him covetously. How could he care about the life and death of the temple in one of the cities? This is why Lin Ke chose to implement his faith strategy here. And, it's not just Sophie who came. During the journey, Xiaoxingan was hovering in the sky, and there were other people on it. Lord Flame Demon. That bird is very handsome. But why can't I see where its magic medium is? The crazy woman is good at using transformation magic, and her favorite transformation is birds, because she can fly in the sky and be free. They don't have magic medium. Lin Ke replied to the crazy woman softly, if you want to touch their inner self and their thoughts, you can only use other methods. No magic medium? The crazy woman was even more curious, but she didn't say much, because she had seen a series of Phasa towers in front. These Phasa towers were outlined in azure blue and snow white, and were extremely obvious in the middle of the khaki Phasa towers, looking like waves rolling up in the loess. The temple of the sea god. When they arrived not far from the building, everyone slowed down. When they saw the hundreds of people standing in front of the temple, they stopped involuntarily. Lin Ke noticed this scene and stopped as well. Kid, what do you want to do? In front of Lin Ke was Lian, whom he had met before. At first, Lin wanted to recruit Lin Ke into the temple, and when a Lolo wanted to kill Lin Ke, he also spoke out to protect Lin Ke. Mr. Lin, please follow the kindness in our hearts, and don't believe in those exploiters. Lin Ke's voice also became gentle, but the gentleness of the voice could not cover up the spread of the voice. Everyone heard his voice: kindness, justice, equality, fairness, mercy. These qualities are innate to us, not given to us by the gods. Look at those foreign visitors who have no faith. They are extremely powerful, and they don't believe in the gods. We can still live well without the gods, but if the gods leave our faith, they can only fall from the throne. It is never us who should be afraid, but the gods. As Lin Ke spoke, Lin was already stunned. He only said one sentence. Why is this fire demon in front of him so talkative? But when he heard Lin Ke's words, Lin's face changed. Before he could speak, an older and more devout believer had already spoken. Shut up, you heretic. A young man with a dignified look spoke. The young man was holding a blue book in his arms, on which was written marine doctrine in farce. His aura fluctuated violently, and he was obviously a level 10 existence, the archbishop of the temple here. The existence of the ocean is great and vast. Any heretic who wants to offend the ocean will be drowned by the raging waves. On behalf of my lord, I grant you eternal death. The archbishop, who looked like a young man, declared solemnly, then opened the thick book in his hand, and raised it above his head. Divine art, ocean disaster. As soon as the voice fell, a large area of blue sea water emerged mightily, rushing straight into the sky, and then rushed towards Lin Ke with boundless power. It looked like seawater, but in fact every drop of seawater condensed into sharp needles, and the water needles and waves formed were extremely terrifying. Moreover, after the archbishop, other temple personnel also began to use divine arts. They did not use only water attribute magic, but also various attributes. Ha ha ha. The flame demon's true body. The crazy woman laughed crazily, and her body turned into a grizzly bear. Then, magical flames rose from the grizzly bear's body, turning it into a giant flaming bear. The sinister man was good at ice magic, but he did not use this magic. The famous magic of the flame demon sect, the flame demon's true body. It's a bit too early to say it's a famous magic. After all, the flame demon sect was born not long ago. But many people still know this iconic magic. Lin Ke also modified the overheating skill combined with some other magic and skills of Nasang. Nasang's magic and skills are not comparable to the backward magic of Fasa. Lin Ke has only given the magic of the flame demon's true body to 13 people. So, 13 flame demons descended. Looking at the overwhelming attacks, Lin Ke raised his right hand, aimed at the archbishop, and fought him head on. And the others did the same. Even if the flame demon sect was incorporated into the Song of the Torrent, it was still not enough compared to the large number of people in the temple. There were 13 people at level 10 and more than 30 at level 9. It had to be said that the temple was at the top of Fasa for a reason. Chapter 293 The Wrath of the Father Gods. However, Lin Ke is not a father. He is level 12. According to convention, those below level 17 are not opponents. But he didn't want to act too evil. So, he put on a look of not being relaxed and blocked the ocean disaster that propped up a huge wall of fire to block the archbishop. The others were released and fought with the people in the temple. As for most people, they were spectators, observing the situation from the outside. And in order to prevent being affected, they were still far away. There were also some people with bad intentions, speculators, and intelligence seekers. During this process, Sophie let out a clear whistle. So, including Lin Ke, everyone's strength increased greatly, increasing by more than 40%. Too strong. The crazy woman who turned into a firebird and was fighting a magician praised loudly. The sinister man also revealed a trace of yearning in his eyes. Fighting was not enough. Lin Ke drew 3 level 10 strong men over, fighting 1 against 4. Ms. Yang was also fighting with these clergy with a complicated expression. Originally, they feared the temple more than respected it, but after the fight, the fear in their hearts was much relieved. The people in the temple are nothing special. Coupled with what Lin Ke said in his previous speech, the ideas that everyone had been instilled with since childhood were broken bit by bit. The balance of victory is tilting towards Lin Ke. High in the sky, In a place that cannot be seen from the blue light sky city, a kingdom of God is looming. There is a majestic figure looking out. He heard a fanatic say that someone wants to subvert the faith of one of his cities. If it were in the past, he would have directly thrown a divine punishment. However, at this time, he could feel that there were hundreds of extremely hungry eyes scanning back and forth in his kingdom of God. These eyes came from the oceans around the farther continent. They are those evil invaders. They are still coveting their power. The Dharma behind the sea god danced left and right in extreme anger, and the entire kingdom of God was suddenly filled with storms. Countless petitioners living there raised their Dharma media to the left in fear and prayed devoutly. They didn't know why their great god was angry, but since he was angry, as petitioners, they could only pray to ask their god to calm down his anger. Dozens of servants, demigods, and sub-gods of the sea god waited outside the sea god's palace, feeling uneasy. After a while, the sea god's kingdom returned to peace. The sea god closed his deep eyes, and his Dharma media also calmed down. He didn't dare to go out. Damn invaders. The sea god couldn't help but grit his teeth at those petitioners. Great sea god, pray for salvation. Save us. In the godhead, a steady stream of prayers came, making him even more upset. Finally, his majestic body rose from the throne. A dark blue crown appeared on his head, a sapphire in his left hand, and an anchor in his right hand. He came to the palace gate, and the palace gate opened in response. My lord. When the people outside the palace saw the sea god, they all moved their Dharma media to pay their respects, similar to prostrating. Well, I'll go to the kingdom of the sky god. The sea god nodded gloomily, and his body turned into a blue light and rushed into the sky. The distance between the kingdoms of God is not far, and he believes that those invaders will not suddenly appear in this short distance. After leaving the kingdom of God, the sea god rushed towards the kingdom of the sky god, furious. However, halfway, he suddenly saw several other gods. The goddess of fire, the mother of the earth, the god of the forest. The sea god looked at the dozen gods in front of him and was a little surprised. Sea god, has your faith been shaken too? The god of the forest was full of anger. My 38 temples were uprooted, countless believers were turned into slaves, and my foundation was shaken. Ah. The sea god couldn't react for a while. 38 temples? Before, this god of the forest had some small grudges with him about faith and priesthood. But now he feels a little distressed for the god of the forest. Too miserable. My godhood is full of wailing. The Lord God must punish those hateful outsiders. My power of faith is getting less and less. Several other gods also complained. The sea god listened, but did not say much, but followed them to the kingdom of the sky. Unexpectedly, more than half of the gods of Phasa were present in the end. Whether it was the powerful sea god, the mother of the earth, or the weak new gods, they were all angry or lamenting. The kingdom of the sky is a pure blue plane, where the petitioners can fly freely in the sky. And at the highest point, is the temple of the god of the sky. The god of the sky sat on the throne with his eyes closed, and dozens of gods had gathered below him. Phasa has a long history. From the earliest goddess of fire to the latest new gods, there are already hundreds of gods in Phasa. At this time, most of the gods have gathered together and stood below the god of the sky. When the sea god and other gods came here, the god of the sky suddenly opened his eyes. Those evil invaders are declaring war on us. The voice of the god of sky also had suppressed anger. The god of the sea also knew at this time that, in addition to him, the beliefs of many other gods had been greatly affected. His main sphere of influence was the northwest and south seaside part, and Blue Light Sky City was a city at the edge of his sphere of influence. And there was only one invader in this range, the most powerful red invader. That invader did not do anything to his temple and faith forces, but kept to himself. After all, according to the feedback from those believers, the riots in Blue Light Sky City came from the riots of sects and schools. He did not dare to interfere, because the mermaids among the invaders coveted the kingdom of God and the priesthood. He originally wanted to discuss with the god of the sky, but who knew that so many gods here came to the god of the sky, and the damage suffered by those gods was much greater than his. When there was a comparison, the god of the sea suddenly felt much better in his heart. It was just a temple, and the others were made miserable by the invaders from other forces. The problem is that they don't want to provoke the power of the god of sky, and the other gods have been injured in the previous attacks. For example, if the god of the sea was not ancient and powerful, he would have been seriously injured and fell asleep in the last attack. Declare war. Call on all people to attack those invaders. The voice of the god of sky was grand and loud. Kill those invaders. Declare war. Declare war. Declare war. I will send all the fanatics. The walkers on the ground will drive out the invaders for me. The gods under the god of sky were boiling with divine power, and oracles were quickly transmitted to the temples in the lower world. The gods were angry one by one, but none of them dared to go down to the lower world, and they only dared to shout in the kingdom of God. It was like impotent rage. Chapter 294. Dear fellow faithfuls, Lin Ke, who was in a fierce battle, of course, didn't know about the impotent fury of the father gods. In the fierce battle, a 15th level servant god hidden in the ocean temple was drawn out. The servant god was extremely powerful, surrounded by the laws of the earth, with extremely strong defense, and a 10th level staff. But he was always no match for Lin Ke. Originally, Lin Ke could have solved it alone, but he could only defeat the servant god after a fierce battle and a burst of energy, and finally defeated the servant god with a very terrible willpower. This battle was extremely tragic. The temple of the sea god was overthrown, and fanatics, devout believers, ascetics, bishops, and archbishops were killed and wounded, leaving only some shallow believers. On Lin Ke's side, thousands of people died. Many wild mages joined Lin Ke's camp after the battle, and they were successfully awakened by Lin Ke to the rebellious psychology in their hearts. Where there is injustice, there is resistance. Dozens of father towers were taken under Lin Ke's command, which was equivalent to dozens of residential buildings and office buildings in the previous life. Most of the Blue Light Sky City was taken by Lin Ke, but Lin Ke did not assign all the assets to the Flame Demon sect. At this time, in the center of the Blue Light Sky City, at the entrance of the Sea God Temple, Lin Ke stood on a square podium, and the people of the Blue Light Sky City below. There were magicians, shallow believers, and ordinary people. Tens of thousands of people gathered here. Fortunately, there was a large square in front of the Sea God Temple, so it could accommodate so many people. Lin Ke looked around and saw a dense black mass of people, all of whom were Fasa people. The people of the Flame Demon sect stood in the front, looking at him with an admiring look. Lin Ke felt that the time was ripe and said, "Fellow countrymen, brothers, and sisters, today, we have gotten rid of the oppression and restraint of the sea god on us." As he said, Lin Ke opened his arms, and there was a cheer and excitement from below. "Yahoo! Those people, I have long disliked them," the crazy woman shouted. "From now on, there will be both smooth roads and crises." The sinister man also seemed very confident. Most people in the Blue Light Sky City did not know what this meant, but when everyone cheered, they cheered too. However, the citizens who originally didn't know why they were cheering finally knew the next sentence. This time, all the houses in the Sea God Temple will be obtained by the brothers and sisters who participated in the resistance this time. Lin Ke released this heavy news, and his voice spread far and wide. "What? These houses are for us? Why?" everyone exclaimed, and the people in the square whispered to each other, and suddenly there was chaos. To buy a house, you need to use a lot of magic power, otherwise you can only live like a wild magician and a beggar. A house for free. No matter which world you are in, giving away a house for free is always a happy thing. At the same time, I will set up an organization, the Fanai organization. Lin Ke's voice was full of enthusiasm and hope, causing the people to be moved by him involuntarily, so he continued, "Mortals and wild wizards, we are born to be Phasa people. We should have the power to choose whether to become magicians. We should have the power to believe in a god. We should have the power to choose whether to be loyal to ourselves. But we didn't. We were indoctrinated since birth that we should believe in someone and must believe in someone. Is this faith? No. This is poisoning and rigidity. When I eat, I know that the food comes from my own labor and efforts, not the power of God from the sky. When I sleep, I know that my house comes from my own hard work, not built by gods. We can build a city with our own hands. We can measure the entire continent with our own feet. The gods are just some blood-sucking worms. They were born from the phaser people, but became the cages and blood-sucking worms of the phaser people. They constantly draw strength from our beliefs, and then use this power to exploit and oppress us, and when outsiders come, they flee and hide. Kindness is our nature, passion is our nature, diligence is our nature. These are all human nature. Gods and religions link themselves to human nature, so we mistakenly believe that the kindness we are doing is due to the guidance of gods. Are they worthy? What we believe in is the justice in our hearts. What we believe in is the kindness in our hearts. In this way, each of us is a god. Each of us is our own god. Lin Ke's voice was impassioned, but no one noticed that he was holding a piece of paper with a faint glow in his arms. Sof is destiny territory. This is the first music score in the heavens and stars, and it has a very strange power. In order to amplify the emotions of the audience, Lin Ke had to use external force. After all, the people here have been poisoned too deeply by the temple of the gods, and they are already sick to the bone marrow. Only a strong medicine can see if they can be cured. Faith belongs to humanity. Overthrow the tyranny of God. Fast needs freedom. Lin Ke shouted slogans. His face flushed. Under his leadership, the crowd was excited and began to shout slogans. In addition, brothers and sisters, we will build more houses and reclaim more farmland. Strive to make everyone live a good life. Lin Ke's voice overwhelmed the noise of the crowd, and we are more than that. Although we have been liberated, there are still countless compatriots like us in Fas who have not been liberated. They are still living in dire straits. We must liberate them. Liberate all of Fas. Lin Ke clenched his fists, his voice still passionate. Perhaps we should have a name to call each other. We all have a common ambition, so we can call each other homogeneous. Homogeneous. All the citizens of Blue Light Sky City only felt their hearts tremble. Same. Homogeneous. Common ambition. They all have the same ambition. Not distinguished by height, weight, thinness, black and white, beautiful or ugly, strong or weak, ordinary or extraordinary. They are only distinguished by their ambitions. They have the same ambition, so they are all homogeneous. Homogeneous. Dear homogeneous people, we are united as one. Let's unite. Fas is ours. Fas should be our own Fas people. We have limited time. Those foreign visitors are invading, and those gods are still exploiting and oppressing us. We can only unite. Unite our own people. Unite those good foreign visitors, and then liberate all of Fas. This day is called Homogeneous Day in Fas history. This day marks that the people of Fas have a unified ambition from now on, which is to liberate the entire Fas. Chapter 295, Expansion. Turmoil in Fasa. Early in the morning, Ander finished a night of meditation, got up from his home, and prepared to report to the fire demon sect. A month had passed since that day. He opened the door, climbed down the pillar of the father tower, came to the ground, and then quickly walked towards the place where the temple of the sea god was originally in the Blue Light Sky City. Good morning, Ander. An auntie who was selling roasted milk berries on the roadside shook her magic medium at Ander and showed a friendly smile. Good morning, Miss Zido. Ander stopped in front of the stall, smiled and stretched out her magic medium, connected to the auntie's magic medium, transmitted 5 magic energy to it, and said, I want 2 milk berries, roasted crispy. Okay. The auntie clapped her hands, rolled out 2 roasted green milk berries from the stove, and handed them to Ander. Be careful of the heat. Go to work quickly. Milk berries are a specialty food of the Blue Light Sky City. They are palm-sized and round, and the fruits are golden when ripe. After being roasted, the juice inside the milk berries will seep out. The longer they are roasted, the greener they become, and the stronger the milk flavor becomes. They taste like brown bread dipped in melted milk candy. After taking 2 bites of the milk berries with a milky aroma, Andorra quickened his pace. Andorra, are you going to work? By the way, this is the FIFO flower in my field. Bring me one to Buck. Buck issued a free learning decree 2 days ago. Look, Andorra, my child has been smart since he was a child. Andorra. Along the way, Andorra greeted passers-by, vendors, etc., and walked 500 meters for half an hour. Although a little tired, Andorra felt unprecedented fulfillment. It turned out that these residents were numb and went to the sect or temple to pray, and pray every morning, to contribute the power of faith today. Then they hurried back to do farm work and work, which could only barely make ends meet. After Lord Buck arrived, the people of Blue Light Sky City changed. They were not forced by the people in the temple to pray to the gods they did not believe in, but had their own time to do what they wanted to do. You have to know that 90% of the people in Phaser are just shallow believers. Because in Phaser's case, this city belongs to the sea god today, but it may become the next god tomorrow. Go to this temple to pray today, and go to the next temple to pray tomorrow. In short, as ordinary people, they do whatever the strong say. However, now, the unprecedented sense of freedom has made the entire Blue Light Sky City burst with amazing vitality. Anda felt this youthful vitality, and couldn't help but shake the Feiji behind his head happily, and then climbed up the phaser tower in front of him. Here we are. When we got up there, people came and went. Lord Buck named this place City Hall. These staff members need to come here to punch in, and report every day, and then handle various affairs in Blue Light Sky City. In the past, Blue Light Sky City was extremely chaotic, and it was often the temple that had the final say. If there was no temple, it was a sect. But now, the City Hall has the final say. The difference is, the City Hall is decided by everyone. Whatever regulations, needs, conflicts, etc., they can all be resolved at the City Hall. The City Hall will also issue decrees, based on these cases, first in a small trial run, and then in the whole city. In this way, in the past month, Blue Light Sky City is no longer as chaotic as before, and the situation where Lin Ke could fight in the street before no longer exists. And the homogeneous, Buck homogeneous is waiting for you at room 103. As soon as Anda came up, a girl came over with a stack of Azan paper and left in a hurry after speaking. Very busy. Anda knew that the city hall had been overloaded, and he didn't care, but took the remaining milk berry to room 103, the meeting room. When he came to room 103, he saw his teacher, Ms. Young, the armored boy, the crazy woman, the sinister man, and others were all inside. And at the very back, there was a majestic figure. It was the king of the flame demons, Buck Laglanus. Anda, are you here? Are the milk berries crispy? Lin Ke raised his head from the papers on the table and smiled. Very crispy. Buck homogeneous. Anda handed over the milk berries in his hand. In addition to buying his own food every morning, he also bought Buck's food. Crunch. Lin Ke took a bite, and it was crispy and fragrant like biscuits, and then a stream of milk-like juice seeped out, which tasted very good. Buck homogeneous, we are now. Anda and everyone touched the French medium lightly, then came to their own seats and sat down, looking at the papers on the table. We have now liberated 3 large cities, and now we have to consider which direction to go. Next to Anda, the sinister man smiled coldly. Direction. Hearing this, and looked at the information in his hand, and fell into thought. At this time, everyone, including Lin Ke, was thinking. Eating the milk berries in his hand, Lin Ke fell into deep thought. In this month, Phaser ushered in a turbulent era. First, in the eastern part of the Fas continent, in the eyes of the Fas people, those humanoid invaders with various monster heads occupied 78 cities, and enslaved the Fas people there. All believers were killed directly, and all non-believers, wild mages, magicians, etc. were gathered together, and branded as slaves. It is said that at least more than 2 million Fas people died. How cruel. But Lin Ke knew that they were people from the Holy Life Alliance. They didn't even care about the intelligent life of Nasang, let alone the intelligent life of other planes. In their eyes, the intelligent life of other planes was not even as good as their slave life. In the southeast, 3 gods fell here, and the local area was in great chaos. It seemed that every city had an extra overlord. The overlords of these cities were the people of the far west countries of Nasang. These people have different characteristics, but in short, they are all good at killing, which has something to do with the fact that the god of killing of Nasang fell in that place. In the northeast, there are the forces of the stars and waves. The ocean of Phaser is not vast and boundless. More than 70% of this planet or this plane is land, and there is no intelligent life in the ocean. So those mermaids and the like have been operating forces on land. Then, there is the Everfrozen Council in the south. The development of the Everfrozen Council is quite good. It directly occupied more than 60 cities there, and shook the faith of the god of the forest. There was a war of gods before, but it was stopped. It can be seen how powerful the son of the chief of the ice crystal giant deer, who was in the same period as the Emperor Wumian, was. And the kingdom of Gila in the northwest, that is, the force headed by Lin Ke, has been completely useless in the eyes of the live broadcast audience for the past month. What is Lin Ke doing in their eyes? Painting, writing books, composing music. What the hell? Exclamation mark. The kingdom of Gila is about to lose? Exclamation mark. With more than 200 forces, everyone with a discerning eye in Nasan can see that Lin Ke has been wasting his time this month. But they don't know that Lin Ke has also started his plan at this time. Then, let's expand to the east. Chapter 296, sword pointing to the east. East. Everyone was stunned. Buck is the same. Why do we have to go to the east? Anda asked directly. Here he was the only one who could ask without scruples, because he and Lin Ke were more like friends. Indeed, the foreign visitors in the east seemed to be very cruel. The sinister man also made his own suggestion. Why not go to the southeast? Although it is chaotic there, they seem to be fighting on their own. We can defeat them one by one. I think those mermaids are disgusting. The crazy woman's opinion is very unique, very evil, too evil. The others looked at the crazy woman and always felt that the word evil was suitable for her. Not only evil, but also crazy, and a little crazy. Then everyone expressed their opinions, and the general meaning was that except for the east and the south, it would be good to go anywhere else. The frost giant deer chief's son in the south is too strong, and the east is strong, chaotic, and cruel. No matter how you look at it, it is better to develop in other places. Everyone spoke freely, and finally gradually quieted down, and looked at Lin Ke. Buck, why do you want us to go east? Anda's teacher asked everyone's doubts. You are alright. Lin Ke smiled, then the smile gradually faded, turned around and looked at the brief map of the entire phaser, and remained silent. Anda and the others looked at each other, not knowing what to say, so they had to remain silent. The atmosphere became more and more oppressive, and everyone dared not breathe. They subconsciously thought that they had said something wrong. But then they thought of the openness of their own Lord Buck, and immediately knew that Lord Buck was thinking. I understand what you said. Lin Ke looked at the map with a faint gaze, then turned around with a serious face. But we must go to the east. Without waiting for everyone to ask questions, Lin Ke continued. What we are going to do, have you forgotten? Our ambition, have you forgotten? Lin Ke looked at everyone, as if he wanted to see into everyone's heart. Everyone was shocked. We want to liberate all of Phasa. Lin Ke first spoke slowly, word by word, and then pointed to the eastern part of the Phasa map behind him. Now, countless compatriots are living in dire straits. Shouldn't we help and liberate them? Anda opened his eyes wide, his lips trembling, and he had obviously had an orgasm in his brain. The crazy woman's eyes were rolling. She clamped her legs together, and her cheeks were flushed. The sinister man narrowed his eyes, carefully looked at Lin Ke's expression, and then his heart beat violently. Ms. Yang sighed with a complicated expression. Everyone had different expressions, but there was one characteristic. They were all stunned by Lin Ke's words. Countless compatriots are living in dire straits, but they are calculating their interests. Pattern. Their Buck homogeneous has such a great pattern. And the courage to go forward, even if there are thousands of people, directly convinced everyone again. Okay, I agree with Buck homogeneous's opinion. Suddenly, the armored boy who had been standing next to Lin Ke slapped the table, scaring everyone. The boy blushed immediately. Oh, why do you agree? Lin Ke looked at the boy, his eyes encouraging. Tell me, Baiguang. The boy named Baiguang scratched his head. I don't know, but I think Buck's homogeneity is very good, and I want to save them too. Justice and passion. Lin Ke sighed in his heart. Baiguang's innocent boyish heart. I don't know whether it is good or bad. In fact, the reason why he wants to attack the east is very simple. This time the nobles have various evaluation criteria, and the duration is 3 years. After observation, Lin Ke found that the most solid foundation is actually in the east, belonging to the Minotaur and Ratman tribes of the Holy Life Alliance. The second is a starry mermaid, and then the frost giant deer in the Other Frozen Council, and finally some small forces. It must be said that the most united forces in Assen are those with families or races as a core. The Holy Life Alliance is nominally one, but in fact, each ethnic tribe fights on its own. The Everfrozen Council is similar, not to mention the Far West countries. For example, the human race of the Gila Kingdom is quite united, at least this time the nobles' deliberation is quite united. Baiguang, do you have faith? Lin Ke gently patted Baiguang's shoulder, causing a burst of jealousy from the people around him. I used to believe in the sea god. Baiguang was a little nervous. After all, the sea god temple had just been overthrown. The sea god is good. Lin Ke smiled, then shook his head. I also have faith. The flame demon king Buck also has faith. Exclamation mark. This should be considered a secret, right? The sinister man looked around instantly, with a warning in his eyes. This secret cannot be revealed, otherwise, Buck, who wants to overthrow the rule of the gods, believes in the gods himself. Then what's the point of overthrowing the gods? No need to do that. Lin Ke smiled faintly, then came to the window, looked at the clouds outside the window, and looked far away. What I believe in is noble character and morality, the glory of human nature, pride, unity, sacrifice, faith. Is this to take back faith from the gods and return faith to human nature? Everyone was chewing on Lin Ke's words. People are not born with these things, but they are definitely not something that a mere god can bring. Lin Ke continued, those fanatics of gods can raise their knives to their loved ones and betray humanity for the sake of gods, so we should die for the cause of liberating Phaser. In an instant, Baiguang's eyes brightened, as if he had found a new direction. Baiguang, I asked you to gather all the knights. Have you gathered them? Lin Ke looked at Baiguang, then at the crazy woman, and the wild mages. Have you gathered them all? Yes. Baiguang raised his magic medium. I have gathered more than 200 knights. Buck homogeneity, the wild mages in the 3 cities have been registered. And are also reported. Well, there are a little few knights. Try to gather all the knights. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes. If there are any difficulties, tell Ms. Yang. Yang, you are responsible for this matter. Okay. Ms. Yang nodded. As vested interests, many magicians certainly don't want to let go of knights, warriors and other followers. But Lin Ke must first cultivate a group of trustworthy classes to fight against magicians. Knights and wild mages are a good middle class. As for the professional system, before he completely controls this plane, he will not want to spread the professional system. Also, what does the Lord of the Great Wilderness say? Lin Ke looked at the crazy woman again. In order to distinguish the 2 names of Lin Ke and Buck, Lin Ke will also hand over some negotiation matters to the people below. Respected Buck, the powerful lord said that the supply of Asen paper is unlimited. He appreciates what we are doing. Chapter 297 Interdimensional Trade. In addition, the crazy woman paused and said, in addition, the lord is very interested in our milk berries. Oh, milk berries? What do they want to do? Lin Ke exclaimed, knowingly asking, is there any special effect of milk berries that we haven't discovered? I don't know. The crazy woman shook her head, and then she was yearning. The Lord also said that you can publish his Notre Dame de Paris as much as you want. In addition, as long as we provide enough iron ore, we can sell it to us at a low price. Enchanted weapons. Speaking of enchanted weapons, the crazy woman's eyes became more serious. Buck homogeneity, those enchanted weapons, in addition to magic wands, there are also many swords, armors, and wizard robes, which can maximize our strength. That's right. Ms. Yang also echoed, I have tried their wizard robes, which can increase my element absorption efficiency by 10%. 10%. Ms. Yang, who is already at the 11th level of the holy domain, can actually do this. You can imagine how much the increase is for others. They also said they could help us train knights, but that's another price. The crazy woman added, I fought one of their knights, and lost. The crazy woman actually lost. Everyone was shocked to see Lin Ke's expression. And as teacher knew, that a young magician like Lin Ke, although powerful, would find it difficult to accept this fact. A magician couldn't beat a knight who could only serve as a servant? Exclamation mark. After all, he was also shocked by this news yesterday. As an old magician, and as teacher knew that it was time for him to play a role. So he squirmed a little, cleared his throat, and tried to say in a mature and hoarse voice, "Haha, Lord Buck, you know. Then train them. The more the better." At this time, Lin Ke's eyes shot out a gleam. No matter fire magic or water magic, as long as it can attack the enemy, it is good magic. Then he looked at Andora's teacher. Huh? What's wrong? Ahem, nothing. Andora's teacher didn't expect that their backbone buck homogeneity had such a strong acceptance ability. "I just think that your suggestion is very good. Very good. But..." The sinister man looked at Lin Ke with hesitation in his eyes. "Buck homogeneity. If the knights are getting stronger and stronger, then we..." His meaning was very clear. If the knights are getting stronger and stronger, then what are these magicians? It is even possible that some knights with bad intentions will usurp the throne. No, we can't imagine our people with the worst of our hearts. Of course, we can't be too naive. Our people naturally know what is good and what is bad. What we have to do is to prevent them from being manipulated and incited." Lin Ke raised his hand and said, "Don't fool our people. Tell them the truth of this world. Tell them the meaning of our existence. Tell them everything. The people will choose their own path and answers from history and learning." People. How strong are the people? They don't know. The Fasa people don't know. And even the Nasan people don't know. But Lin Ke knows. In the previous life, an ordinary civilian, a farmer, or even a beggar's child, had the opportunity to receive an education. Whether in the most luxurious villa in the city, or under the dim starlight in the mountains, they may read the same book, and the test papers may be the first or second in the country. What did they teach in the previous life? From astronomy and geography to physics and chemistry, with history and politics in between. They even taught dragon slaying. The flower growing family directly put everything that can be taught in the book. As long as you want to learn, you can learn. You can't go directly to Tsinghua or Peking University, but 985 and the like are also possible. In Lin Ke's previous life, many classmates came from rural families, became doctors, passed the civil service exam, became leaders, turned over and became masters, and then benefited their hometowns. What about other places? Only capital and nobles can learn the most essential knowledge, and other races can only not breathe, and can only go to ordinary schools. Other places are guarding against their own people, fearing that their rule will be overthrown. Everything in the flower planting family is revealed to its people openly, and it also has the love of its people. There is no need to tell the people what kind of person they need to be, as long as all the truth is laid out. When they choose, the people will naturally make the corresponding choice. This is the grand road of the flower planting family. For such a grand road, anyone with a brain knows what choice to make. And this is what Lin Ke is going to do now. Except for his identity as Buck, he leaves all other choices to the Fasa people themselves. Whether to trade with Nasan, whether to promote knights to management, bloodline priority, origin priority, far power priority, strength first, or like the flower growers, ability first. This is up to the Fasa people to choose. Buck has only one role in it, that is to guide. Tell them what the result will be after each path. This way, I'm afraid. And his teacher has no experience of becoming a wild mage. He has been a magician family since he was a child, so he is not sure. Lord Buck. The sinister man was also hesitant. As a wild mage, he naturally knew that, if there was a chance, the wild mage would definitely climb up like crazy. I know your concerns. Of course, this is later. Before the people have the corresponding morality and character, we can't do this. Lin Ke also nodded. In short, education is the top priority, and must be cautious. But now, training knights is indeed effective. In Fasa, a magician may be equipped with dozens of knights, hundreds of followers and countless slaves. These people fight for the magician, but a lot of manpower is wasted under this relationship. Therefore, Lin Ke must make good use of this power. As for the iron ore mentioned before, I remember that the karst mountains in the east seem to be rich in iron ore. Lin Ke turned around and looked at the map, then pointed to a point on the right side of the center of the map. There was a string of mountains on it, and a small lollipop-shaped icon. Karst Mountains, North Wind City. Everyone's eyes were fixed. North Wind City. At this time, it should be occupied by those powerful foreign visitors with rat heads and human bodies who were as powerful as gods. and these rat-headed people are said to have a grudge with their neighbor, the Lord of the Great Wilderness. Good choice. Ms. Young praised softly. Others also agreed. Attacking this North Wind city is just right to borrow the power of their neighbors. After taking it down, not only can the father compatriots who are in dire straits be rescued, but they can also obtain the iron ore veins of the Karst Mountains to trade with their neighbors and enhance their own strength. Killing two birds with one stone. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 298, The Spread of Notre Dame de Paris. Is there anything else to discuss today? After talking for a long time, Lin Ke finally had time to pick up the milkberry and take 2 more bites. It must be said that this milkberry, which looks like milk toasted coconut breadcrumbs, is not only nutritious, but also delicious. It must be introduced to Dahuang City. Buck homogeneity. Today's content should be these. There are 2 other things. One is that you need to take a look at the milkberry farm outside the Blue Light Sky City, and the second is what you said about opening a store to sell things from outsiders. And as a secretary, also reported to Lin Ke at this time, and also looked at the young knight Bei Guang demonstratively. Lin Ke consciously cultivated the 2 of them, one representing the magician and the other representing the knight. The 2 of them are still young and very malleable, and Lin Ke must cultivate them well. Also, Buck homogeneity, you still need to observe the training of the knights. Bei Guang also raised his hand and said, the young mind is competitive. Okay, I'll go check out the farmland outside first. Lin Ke smiled. Then let's see how to open the store. I'll train with the knights in the afternoon. After saying that, Lin Ke paused and looked at the few people. If you have time, train together. I don't want you to be so weak and need protection. Wild mages such as the crazy woman and the sinister man are fine. They have been struggling for life and death for many years, which makes them quite skilled, but they are not as good as the combat professionals. However, and as teacher, Ms. Young and others are not so good. They are so weak that they can be killed by a sword. Lord Buck, I don't think I need to do it. And as teacher's face changed, my old bones. Ms. Young, what do you think romance is? Lin Ke interrupted and as teacher, and looked at Ms. Young. Ms. Young was stunned. Romance? What is that? Can it be eaten? She shook her head. Romance is power. The crazy woman cheered, like Lord Buck. Lin Ke smiled and shook his head. Women's romance is the breeze, the sunset, the faint sunset glow, the smoke and lights of the late return. Ms. Young and the crazy woman nodded when they heard it. Indeed, it is indeed beautiful. But it seems that it is still not as romantic as being powerful, and Lin Ke was a little speechless in his heart. One of them is for power. Even if he broke through the 10th level, he would endure for 100 years and only come out after breaking through the 11th level. The other is a crazy wild mage crazy woman who only cares about being powerful. These 2 women don't know shit. Lin Ke looked at the armored boys again. I think women's romance is not suitable for us. What do you think men's romance is? Without waiting for their answer, Lin Ke continued. Men's romance is hurricanes, scorching sun, thunder that shatters darkness and oars that break waves. It is the clash of swords and the baptism of blood and fire. Lin Ke's words made the armored boy Bei Guang and the magician and his eyes light up. Not to mention the 2 boys. Even and his teacher and the sinister man were a little touched. My old bones are still strong. And his teacher coughed twice and prepared to move his body later to avoid being disliked by his disciples. The sinister man was also thinking that he had been using some conspiracies and tricks in the past, which seemed a little too sinister. He thought to himself, no wonder he wanted to follow Lord Buck after seeing him. At first, he thought Lord Buck was a first-class conspirator, but now it seems that he is a real man. No, this is also my romance. I don't want to be a woman anymore. The crazy woman opened her eyes wide at this time. I want to be a hurricane. I want to be the sun. I want to be the oar that breaks the waves. I don't want to be that kind of weak woman either. Ms. Young said to Lin Ke with a cold face. Who told you that women have to like those boring things? Good guy. Lin Ke couldn't help but be stunned with his temperament, and then quickly called the two teenagers to leave. It would be troublesome if they got a boxer from another world later. When they came outside and walked on the road, people were coming and going around, very lively. Which direction is the bookstore? Lin Ke asked Anda. We just happened to pass by it on the way to the farmland. Anda replied, today is a day when Notre Dame de Paris starts to be sold. Oh. Lin Ke nodded and saw that some passers-by already had Notre Dame de Paris in their hands. But not many. Fassa's literacy rate is not as high as Nassam. Did the storyteller arrange it? Lin Ke asked again. In order to deal with this situation, Lin Ke arranged for storytellers to take turns to tell stories every day, so that more people can know this story. Notre Dame de Paris is a story about human nature, such as ugly people are not necessarily evil, and beautiful people are not necessarily kind. But in fact, Lin Ke has his own private goods. After all, the bishop in the book is a bad guy. It's arranged. Anda replied, many civilians and world wizards are grateful for Buck's decision to be homogeneous. Well, that's not important. In addition, schools should be built as soon as possible, including military academies. Lin Ke would talk to the two of them while taking a walk. Gradually, they came to a special father tower. This father tower is very low, but also very spacious. Outside, some servants were queuing up to buy books. Although Lin Ke forced the class to be equal on the surface, many magicians who control the means of production still occupy the upper class. Like servants, if the position of servants is abolished, the servants may starve to death. So for now, the status quo can only be maintained. It's not difficult to build a military academy and a school, but we don't have anyone. Anda was a little embarrassed. The slaves under our flame demon sect are not enough. Let the magicians come to repair it. Their magic is very suitable. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes, but there is no rush. Let's put it aside for now. Let Ms. Yang and others come together in 2 days, and we will build it ourselves first. Like Nassing, there are architects, but magicians can also be used, using various earth, stone, wood, and water magic. At this time, they have arrived in front of the bookstore. Someone is standing on another face tower next to the bookstore. A man is holding a loudspeaker and speaking to the people below. Vice Bishop Claude is sanctimonious and looks very attractive. It seems that he is telling the story of Notre Dame de Paris. Wow. Archbishop. Stupid. It's the Archbishop. It's a pity that there is no temple. I heard that it feels good to believe in God. Several young children were listening to storytellers on the roadside in front. Lin Ke narrowed his eyes when he heard this. Anda and Bei Guang also looked at each other, not knowing what to say. It seems that there are still some people who refuse to give up. Chapter 299 New Faith. Anda, add one more thing to my schedule. Build a temple. Lin Ke's eyes were shining. What do children know? Most children, what they know, comes from their parents and teachers. The children of Blow Light Sky City who have time to listen to books are generally children of ordinary people, and they don't have teachers. So basically most of their knowledge comes from their parents. In addition, Bei Guang, you have more than 200 knights under your command now, right? Lin Ke looked at Bei Guang. Yes, Lord Buck. Bei Guang was a little nervous, but they didn't obey my orders. I just registered them. No, Bei Guang is homogeneous, you can command, because I'm behind you. Lin Ke smiled and shook his head. In a desperate moment, how can a boy who dares to swing a knife against a stronger person not command those knights? At the beginning, Lin Ke took a fancy to this boy at first sight, and it was because of his fearlessness. Bei Guang is homogeneous. I heard that the Lord of the Great Wilderness said that knights all need to have faith. Lin Ke patted Bei Guang on the shoulder. But I don't want to believe in the gods. Bei Guang shook his head desperately and then imitated Lin Ke's tone and said, those are Arthas's blood-sucking worms. Who told you to believe in those idiots? Lin Ke said with a smile, I told you that you can believe in our own thoughts and spirits. As far as I know, one of the subordinates of the Lord of the Great Wilderness, a powerful knight, believes in fearlessness. Fearlessness. One of Geros's knight characteristics is faith, which means to believe in fearlessness. And Lin Ke believes in the people. Faith. Faith in fearlessness? Baiguang's eyes were stunned for a moment, and then instantly filled with thoughts. Fearlessness. Am I fearless? You are fearless, but not fearless. When Lin Ke got the chance, of course he taught them personally at the first time. Anda and Baiguang were both people that Lin Ke liked. As long as their bloodline was not particularly bad, they would have a bright future. Fearlessness is the sword you stabbed at me. That kind of fearlessness is the fearlessness of standing up when needed, regardless of strength. But you are not fearless enough, because fearlessness is multifaceted. For example, if you are not afraid of death, then why don't you live? Why don't you wait until you are really strong, before you really stab me to death? Lin Ke looked at Baiguang and gave Baiguang time to think. Let's go. Think while walking. When you can truly understand the truth of fearlessness, it is also the time when you can truly be fearless. After reading the sales of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, Lin Ke came to the milkberry farm outside the city, where large areas of milkberries were planted. The growth method of milkberries is quite similar to pineapples, but they bear more fruits. Lin Ke and the other two came to the outside of the blue light sky city and saw the dense milkberries outside, a large area of golden yellow. Thousands of farmers are working in it, and several magicians are specially deployed here, namely water magicians and earth magicians. At first, these magicians were not happy. After all, they are noble magicians. However, after a lecture in various senses, these magicians were convinced and are now happily using magic energy to farm. How is the yield of milkberries? Lin Ke casually asked Anda. How much is the agreement with the Lord of the Great Wilderness to sell this year? A piece of farmland can produce about 10,000. Anda thought for a while and said, this is the monthly yield after maturity. The Lord of the Great Wilderness wants about 5 million per year. Okay, increase the yield. Lin Ke nodded slightly and then couldn't help but come to the edge of the farmland next to the ripe milkberry bush. Hey, Tongski, do you want to open one of our milkberries? A farmer who was removing insects leaned out half of his body and asked, with a kind smile on his face, but let's make it clear first, one magic energy for one. We have to hand it over to the public. Okay. Lin Ke stretched out his magic medium and touched the farmer's magic medium, turned the magic energy over, then broke off a milkberry, peeled off the fluffy skin on the surface, like peeling a banana or corn, and took a bite. A stream of sweet juice seeped out of it all of a sudden. It was not as crispy as roasted fire, but as refreshing as an apple. Anda and Baiguang followed behind with a normal look on their faces. They have been eating this thing for years, and there is no novelty at all. But Lin Ke thinks that this is a very high quality dry food. As long as it is roasted to a certain degree, it can be stored for a long time, and it is also rich in nutrition. The Great Wilderness can trade with Phaser to process better food. In the previous life, what was one of the differences between developing and developed countries? The difference between the input and output of raw materials. Developing countries are rich in resources, and they export resources such as iron ore and rare metals. Developed countries sell them back at 10 or 100 times the price after processing. Is it profitable? It's a lot of money. And now, the Great Wilderness has a technical advantage over Phaser. Buck sells milkberries to Lin Ke, and Lin Ke can sell them back after processing, including iron ore. The price of 1 ton of iron, or maybe about the same as the price of 10 enchanted swords. However, 1 ton of iron ore can be used to make hundreds of enchanted swords, and can also train secret scribes, blacksmiths, and forgers. This is simply a win-win situation. No wonder the capitalists in the previous life like to invest in various factories and recruit people in developing regions. Those who went to work in foreign companies are still complacent, but they are just disguised black slaves. How about homogeneity? Our milkberries taste good, right? If we talk about our Lord Buck, it is the same quality. The old farmer next to him saw Lin Ke eating the milkberries, so he asked hurriedly. His expression couldn't stop being proud. Oh, why do you say that? Lin Ke didn't ask, but Anda asked, with expectation in his eyes. Hearing Lin Ke being praised, Anda was happier than Lin Ke himself. Well, tell me, besides us Buktangs, who will give us land and seeds? In the past, these belonged to the magician. The old farmer looked at Anda and said, I see that you are fair-skinned and handsome. How come you don't know this? Then he sighed. Life is good now. There is hope. The old farmer's face was full of happiness and hope. Lin Ke smiled, without commenting, and gestured to Ander and Baiguang, and then walked to the next farmland. After checking the farmland one by one, it was already afternoon, and Lin Ke and his team went to the training ground without stopping. Here, teams of knights were training on the unique steed horses of Phaser. This steed horse is tall, and the mane on its head is also Phagi, which can be connected with the Phagi of the Phaser people, and communicate with each other. It is an extremely excellent warhorse. Chapter 300 Knight Training Method. Unfortunately, although this kind of spur-bone horse is excellent, the most suitable people to ride it are still the Phaser people. After all, the Nasang people do not have such an organ as the magic medium. Even Lin Ke feels that the Knight of Phaser may be more suitable to be a Knight than the Knight of Nasang. After all, no matter what Nasang says, he can't use the magic medium to connect the Knight and the Mount like Phaser and communicate with each other. It's a pity that Phaser chose the path of magician. Not only did it not produce many powerful and excellent magicians, but it also treated the Knights as low status followers. It's a pity. Buktangayu, look, these are the 123 knights among the people I registered. We also gave them a name, the Fire Demon Knights. This time it was Baiguang's turn to take the lead. He excitedly introduced the team he had raised to Lin Ke, and Lin Ke just listened and watched, without asking why there were only 23 knights instead of more than 200. Look, Lord Buck, they are practicing the charge you mentioned. It's really exciting to see a group of knights charging. Baiguang was so excited that he even called out Lord Buck. Charge. Lin Ke shook his head. How were the knights in front of him trained? A group of people lined up in a queue, riding on bone horses back and forth on the training ground. Are they training bone horses or knights? Lin Ke thought about it, and simply darkened his face, and looked at Baiguang. Tell them to stop and gather here. Ah. Baiguang was looking at the knights riding on bone horses with envy. When he turned around, he saw Lin Ke's gloomy face, and his heart clicked. Hey, knights. Come here. Baiguang shouted loudly over there, waving his hand while shouting. However, those knights pretended not to see it. Why? They were originally the retainers of various magician masters, and they were arrogant. If it weren't for their own magician master giving Baiguang a face, who would care about him? As for Buck, who is Buck? They are loyal to the magician master. In the past, he was second only to one person. Moreover, in the Battle of the Temple in Blue Light Sky City, there were no knights participating, and most of them were magicians. So they didn't know what Lin Ke looked like. Hey, you, cough cough cough. Baiguang's face turned red. He didn't have the whistle invented by Lin Ke in Nasang, nor did he bring a loudspeaker, and he didn't know how to amplify magic, so he could only shout at the top of his voice. Okay, no need to shout. Lin Ke went up the mountain with a gloomy face, crossed his arms, and looked at those people. Those knights seemed to see Lin Ke, so the leading knight turned his long bone horse on the training ground, and rushed towards this side, with a hint of a grim smile on his face. Brothers, that's the person in charge. Let's rush over, and say hello to that master. The leading knight shouted, and the other knights responded one after another. Are these people fools? Lin Ke's eyes were weird, and even Ender was a little confused. A group of knights dared to collide with a magician? And he was the sanctuary magician who killed the 3 temples, and claimed to be the king of fire demons? Nasang is possible, but in Phaser, are these knights crazy? It seems that those magicians are not at peace either. Lin Ke whispered, letting Ender and Baiguang hear his words, then raised his right hand, and pointed to the ground. Slippery magic. When Nasang's knights charge, all magic element will be pushed away, and the slippery magic will not work at all. When Garros led the charge of the entire Azan Legion, he could even break the mysterious domain of the moon goddess. All laws are warded off. However, Phaser. What is this? Plop, plop, plop. Got my horse. A series of exclamations rang out, and the knights who were just so aggressive just now staggered all of a sudden. The disappointment in Lin Ke's eyes became even stronger. Knights are not warriors on horses. I don't know what the magicians like about these knights to collect their followers. Damn it, who are you? Do you know that this is the territory of our fire demon knights? Do you know that the fire demons are the supreme gods here? The man with a scar on the corner of his eye stood up and spat. He didn't look at his warhorse, but walked over with the giant sword in his hand, speaking sternly. Lin Ke's eyes became even weirder. Can't they really be a bunch of fools? How dare you? Bei Guang's face turned red at this time. It's okay to embarrass Ander, his little friend and competitor, but also to embarrass Lord Buck. You know, Ander has a talent for management. Under his management, all the magicians and people in the city hall operate in an orderly manner. In comparison, he can't even take down more than 100 knights. Do you know who this is? Bei Guang shouted loudly, but the effect was not as good as expected. Those knights ignored him. I don't care about him. The knight wanted to spit again with disdain, but before he could spit, he was strangled by a strong hand. Whose knight are you? Lin Ke's eyes were indifferent. Although his body was thin, he had a strong aura. Scar Knight struggled, even punching and kicking, but he couldn't break free at all. Let me go. Damn. Whose knight are you? We are the Fire Demon King Buck. Before Scar Knight finished speaking, Lin Ke threw the knight's body out and crashed into other knights. I am the Fire Demon King. Before Scar Knight and other knights could react, Lin Ke's body suddenly grew larger and then was wrapped in waves of flames and lava, and his voice rolled out, resounding throughout the entire training ground. The Fire Demon King. The Fire Demon King? Exclamation mark. At present, there is only one person who can be called the king of all fire demons. The Fire Demon King, Buck Laglanus. No matter how ignorant these knights are, no matter how much they don't recognize their faces, the Fire Demon King still knows. Lin Ke transformed into the true form of the Flame Demon, raised his hand, and condensed a huge fireball, and looked at Bei Guang. Bei Guang, this is your man. He offended me. You decide whether he lives or dies. The fireball in Lin Ke's hand was extremely powerful, the kind that would kill anyone instantly if it hit them. The right to choose was given to Bei Guang. Bei Guang hesitated immediately. Life or death. If it was before, he would definitely want him to die without even thinking about it. But when the right to choose was given to him, he still hesitated. The Scar Knight wanted to speak, but was directly sealed by Lin Ke. Others dared not breathe. Only those skeletal horses panted and got up from the ground, where the slippery technique was performed. After a while, Lin Ke didn't care about the answer and directly threw a thin booklet over and threw it in front of Bei Guang. He said, "This is a knight training method that I got from the Lord of the Great Wilderness and summarized. In 3 days, I want to see all the knights, all under your command." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.